watching closely.
What's the secret, Max?
You just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Hello, and welcome to The Establishing Shot, a podcast where we do deep dives into directors and their filmographies. I am your host, Eli Price, and we are here on episode 105 of the podcast. It is exciting to be just rolling along in this Spielberg series. A couple of, I guess, really a few, historical dramas in a row of sorts. So three kind of different, but also in the same vein. So we're getting into Bridge of Spies today. So excited about that. But before we do that, I have to introduce a returning guest. Elijah Davidson is returning. He is a real stoicy music, I would say. And as old Rudolph Abel in the film says, I probably butchered the pronunciation of that, but that's okay. I'm not Russian, so you can't hold it against me. How are you doing, Elijah? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a Tony-winning, Tony and Oscar-winning
actor either. Yeah, that's all right. Not many better than Mark Rylance. So. Yeah.
But how are you doing? Doing good?
Oh yeah, doing just great. Yep, enjoying the summer, enjoying extra time with the kids, my wife, all that. So yeah, good times.
Yeah, great. Elijah, he has been on a couple of episodes before, and you may or may not remember that he is your title co-director? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
At Brim Film at Fuller Seminary in California. Blanking on the city. What city is Fuller in?
It's in Pasadena.
Okay,
here
Pasadena.
In Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yep. And so they have a lot of stuff going on all the time over there. But you also have personal projects that you work on with your writing. Do you have anything that's come out recently or coming out soon, or that you're just have rattling around in your brain?
Oh, there's always things rattling around in my brain. I get the doctor to check that out, and they said I'm okay. So, no, I don't have any projects, large projects that I'm working on right now. I've been doing a lot of kind of prep work for a project that I don't really want to talk about yet.
Okay.
But it's been fun to start to get my head around that. I don't know if you know what this is like, but there's times where I know the next thing I'm going to write, but I don't know exactly what it's going to look like.
Sure.
But I have kind of I have a big view of what it is. And I tend to be more of a forest first in the trees kind of person.
Yeah.
In every circumstance. I'm also kind of bad at bird watching and things like that, because I'm more of a see the forest, not the trees, not the details kind of person.
Yeah.
So I get a feel for the forest, and then I try to figure out what trees are there, what trails I got to go down, all that kind of stuff. So I'm currently in the forest is taking shape, and I'm trying to figure out what goes where. So
yeah,
it's kind of a fun process. I've learned over the years to just trust that process and know that eventually I'll figure it all out. So it's fun though.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
I definitely can relate to that. I'm kind of like the, get home, wife says, "How was your day?" It was good. It was fine. That's the forest was fine.
Yeah.
Have to dig in for those details.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I've started. I'm always writing and exercising, and I don't know. I've had some fun. I've started doing a little review writing, but not for Fuller. Still do some Fuller stuff, but a little extra different on the side kind of review writing, trying to feel something out, like a way of writing about movies that I'm interested in doing. So I've been doing that in my newsletter. When a movie like really connects with me, I've been trying to figure out a way to write about it a little bit differently, a little more personally. I've for the longest time I've been very particular about keeping myself out of like review writing and writing about films, and put the focus on the movie. And it was just a practice for a long time, and I'm now trying to work like how do I include myself in this experience in a way that's helpful for a reader, and helpful to, like, because when you're writing a review, you're always just communicating your experience of the film in a way that hopefully opens the film up, I think, to somebody else. And so trying to work myself into that a little bit differently. It's been fun. But anyway, I've been doing that writing for my newsletter. I had an email newsletter. So
and I am subscribed to that, and I did I meant to bring it up before we started recording and forgot, but I did see that you had a very lengthy exploration of the new Mission Impossible movie. So
I did.
That was fun. Full disclosure, I don't think I finished it. I think I got like halfway through, and then something came up, and then I forgot to go back and finish it. So I'll have to do that. But I was a little mixed on it. To me, like, the lows were low and the highs were very high. And kind of comes out as like one of those like really fun 7 out of 10 movies for me. But I really enjoyed like your like enthusiasm for it as just like a like super fan of the franchise. That kind of personal element can be fun, even if you're like, I don't necessarily agree on the take, but I love how much you love it. Like, I love reading reviews like that.
Me too. And it's I think if someone can like communicate their enthusiasm or their distaste, I suppose that could be fun to read too, or their indifference. That's kind of a hard review to write, is indifference. But I don't know. I'm kind of inclined to think if the writing is fun to read, you can write whatever you want. And then, there's ethical considerations with staying true to the film and all that. But if the writing's fun to read, you can do whatever you want. So I'm trying to work some of that in. So it's been fun. Thanks for reading even half of it. I'll take it.
I need to go back and read the full thing. But so what, just before we like get into the weeds of the movie and forget what, if you want to like plug where you can sign up for that, what's the best place to do that?
Yeah, you can just go to my website. It's just my name, ElijahDavidson.com, and it's pretty easy to find on there.
Yeah, I've done that once upon a time, but it's been a while.
You can even get a free little ebook when you do that too. So have fun.
Yep. And you have a few of those. Miyazaki was the most recent one.
Miyazaki was the most recent one. Yeah. Cool. There's also one on Christopher Nolan, and one on Guillermo del Toro as well. So,
very cool. And I think the other thing that I always love to plug is the Come and See book, which you can also get in email form. I have the book, but I rarely open the book, but I read the emails every Sunday.
Yeah, great.
So I think I'm at I think the last one was Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Oh, fun. Which
I like that one. Which I showed to my wife. She was not a huge fan, but I love it. It was a bit like, I think it was a bit too melodramatic for her.
Yeah, it's a bit of a melancholy film for sure.
Yeah. And but I love that one. We did musicals March, so we watched.
Oh, neat.
We watched some musicals with the kids, but we also like watched some just us two back in March. Fun. So that was one of my picks that she didn't love, but it was, she appreciated it, I guess.
Yeah, even a bad movie's over pretty soon. So.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad movie. I mean, a movie you don't like, even a movie you don't like is over pretty soon.
It's definitely not a bad movie. It's actually a great movie.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
Go check out ElijahDavidson.com to see everything that Elijah's doing.
Come and see. I should say a little bit more about that, actually.
Okay, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote this book, and it's the 250 greatest films of all time.
Yes.
And I wrote very concise devotions, based on devotional interactions with each of those films. So all
Hmm.
250, and there's a little written piece and then a little model prayer at the end, and just takes you through film history, and there are other ways to go through the material too, but it just takes you through film history,
Hmm.
and you kind of learn about all the great movies, and not the movies that I think are great necessarily. I mean, I do think a lot of them are great, but it's the movies that film scholars and filmmakers and film critics have kind of named consistently as the
Yeah.
greatest films of all time. So you learn a lot. I don't spoil the movies. There's like one movie in there that I spoil, but I warn you first. Everything else I don't spoil. So it's a fun way to learn about film history and learn about what I see God doing throughout
Yeah.
film history. And then it's a book, but it's also an email, completely free email that you can sign up for. And like Eli was saying, you can get every Sunday morning, you'll get a new one in your inbox, and
Hmm.
they just take you all the way through. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is a 5-year email list.
Yeah.
It's a long time of getting emails from me every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
and
how long I've been in it to be at Umbrellas, but it's been a while.
yeah, I mean, if you're
It's in the
Cherbourg,
60s.
you're more than halfway through, and there's a lot of movies in the '60s in there. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're moving along. The I will say, and just because like whenever you sign up, you start at the beginning of film history.
Hmm.
So even though Eli's at Umbrellas of Cherbourg, if you sign up, you'll start right with the very first films ever made, and work your way
Yeah.
through. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I have a like so when I get the email every Sunday, I add it to a letterbox list. It's a
Hmm.
private list because I don't want other people to be spoiled on what the movies are
Oh
without
yeah.
like signing up or getting the book. So it's just
Uh-huh.
for me. But it, letterbox lists show you like how many you've seen.
Right.
And I've been like hovering like around like 52%,
Yeah.
51,
Nice.
52, and I think
That's good.
Umbrellas bumped me up to 53%. I was like, yes.
Nice.
So,
That's good.
um,
Yeah, when I started that project, I had seen about 55% of the films that were on the list. So I had a lot of
mm,
watching to do,
yeah,
which was great. And then I had a lot of rewatching to do because I rewatched
yeah,
everything that I wrote about too. Uh, but it was cool. I'm certainly a completionist now. Otherwise I would be a
yeah.
liar. So I don't know if you do that. I have another private list. I think it's still private. I don't think I ever made it public, but I ranked the films as I watched them and wrote about them, like in
Okay.
my own private kind of like what's the best, what's not the best,
Hmm.
what's better than whatever. So when I was all done with the writing project, I had like the 250 films of greatest films ranked as well,
Yeah.
just privately, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't have them ranked. I've just been like keeping them like a chronological running list.
Nice, that's good.
But
Yeah,
it would be quite the task to rank them.
yeah. I had to just do
Um,
it movie by movie as I added
yeah,
them in.
yeah.
That was kind of like my reward for having watched and researched and wrote about each film was I could like add it to that list and rank it. I
Yeah,
was like, then I was done with that movie, I can move on to the next one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love I love I love like arguing about rank lists that actually like mean nothing, but
Yeah, I know.
it's really fun to just like argue with people about
Hmm.
what's the best of whatever list you're making.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and we'll do that a little bit with a movie draft we're doing next week to go along with this. But
Yeah, cool. It'd be fun.
but but the movie we should jump in. I'm glad you explained Come and See because I just like mentioned it and didn't explain at all what it was, so that's good.
Yeah, no, happy to.
uh,
It's fun. Thanks for
but
mentioning it. I appreciate that.
but yeah, go check out again ElijahDavidson.com. But now we're gonna jump right into to Bridge of Spies. Elijah mentioned that he was going to try to get some sniffles ready for this podcast in an email, but I haven't heard any sniffles yet, so
No, pretty healthy. Pretty healthy.
that's good. But we should start at the beginning, like I always like to do, and actually a little bit before the beginning. We were talking a little bit before the podcast about this kind of run of films that Spielberg is in, and it's funny because I actually kind of wanted to like start off the conversation with that a little bit. So Spielberg has been really since the kind of Jurassic Park Schindler's List, really like Hook, Jurassic Park Schindler's List. He's been on this run of like 3 films within like 2 years and then like a 3-year break. And so this movie is actually coming off of a break after like a frenzy of projects. So he had 1010, Warhorse, and Lincoln were the projects that actually like came out. But he actually had some other projects that like went through a lot of the process but just never came out. One, I had never really heard of either of these just because I wasn't plugged in back around this time to all this stuff, all these like unrealized projects that might come out or might not. But one of them was this based on this Daniel H. Wilson novel, Robopocalypse, which I had never heard of. Have you ever heard of this? Robopocalypse?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, so there was this screenplay that Spielberg was working with from Drew Goddard, who, just to name a few stuff that you might be familiar with, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Alias, and Lost for TV, but he also wrote World War Z and The Martian adaptation. So had a little bit of sci-fi adaptation experience there. But it was set for release in July 2013. At one point, it was postponed to April 2014. They had Chris Hemsworth on board, I think, as the lead, and Anne Hathaway was signed on, Ben Whishaw. So honestly, some actors that I would love to see work with Spielberg.
Yeah.
They had Guy Hendricks Dias on board for production design, who had worked with Spielberg on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but is probably most famous for his work on Inception, which we did, a little bit of callback. We did an episode together for that. It was supposed to be this huge, like $200 million project. And it was just one of those things where Spielberg just never felt right about it and ended up just shelving it. So we'll never see the Spielberg Robopocalypse movie, I think. I think at one point it got moved over to Michael Bay, which I would have been way less interested in seeing, to be honest.
They're friends.
But,
yeah.
Transformers.
Yeah, they're friends. Spielberg, he produced Transformers and stuff like. I can see. I've always found that curious that they're friends. That there's affinity there because there's so much about them that seems so different. Yeah. And I remember reading one time about Spielberg telling Michael Bay, like, you shouldn't do any Transformers sequels. You'll get stuck doing these forever. And like Michael Bay's like, I didn't really listen. I should have.
Yeah.
That's funny. I could see it at that time too. Like that was like high, like Michael Bay working with Steven Spielberg time. So I can see how that might get passed over.
Yeah. For sure.
Interesting.
Michael Bay, I do want to see that movie Ambulance that came out a few years ago. I've heard decent things about that, so, but never seen it. Another unrealized project was called It's What I Do. It was supposed to be an adaptation of a Lindsay Addario memoir, and it was supposed to be starring Jennifer Lawrence. So Dario was, I don't know anything about this person or this project, other than she was a photojournalist. It was going to be a women-focused film, which we kind of talked about, this run of political movies with The Post kind of culminating in The Post, which was a woman-focused film. So I guess he did eventually do his woman journalist film. It just wasn't this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting to see that he had something like The Post in the works.
Yeah.
Before The Post got picked up. But
I saw this too in doing research about this movie, that this was one. I read I don't remember who it was in, but they mentioned that he was working on this, and I didn't look any more into it really, but it sounded a bit like Alex Garland's Civil War. Like, 'cause that's about, a woman who's a photojournalist, and it's a fictional story, obviously. But
sure.
feel like it had some of the same DNA in it. It made me want to look up like how long Alex Garland had been working on that, and if there just happened to be any crossover. There's always like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
seems there are always like similar projects floating around all the time. Yeah.
yeah. Civil War is another one that I'd like to revisit sometime, but um,
Hmm.
it was interesting. I think I don't I didn't know fully what to do with that one. So
Yeah.
I think Spielberg would have the Spielberg version of that would have been a little bit. I mean, probably a lot different.
Yeah, I
But
wonder. I wonder
but at the
he's
same time, it.
there was a lot of Full Metal Jacket in that movie. And
Mm,
I mean, how much Spielberg loves Kubrick
yeah,
and worked with
yeah,
him. And I people always look at Spielberg as the sentimentalist, but he has that mean streak.
yeah, for sure.
And it's kind of fun to think about what his Civil War would look like. I
Yeah, I mean, he
I don't
directed
know.
the opening of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, yeah. So
He's not always sentimental.
that's right. So I wonder like it may have been something similar.
Yeah,
I don't know. Interesting.
yep,
Interesting to imagine.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so Spielberg kind of talks about this time. He kind of said, obviously he's had many like films that he's dropped during this time. He says there are no rules or set patterns. There are times when a project keeps me awake enough nights in a row that I end up making it just to get some sleep. So so some projects, I guess, keep him awake long enough where he drops them, and some where he just makes them. But he's also been what I thought was cool was just realizing like or just sometimes we forget that these like directors and actors are like actual people with families at home and stuff, and when you think of it in that light, it makes total sense that he was taking these like obviously he's working as a producer and stuff still in
Yeah.
those off years, but that's way less intensive work than being on a movie set.
Hmm.
And so getting a lot of years with his family in there. So, but at this point, he mentioned that his youngest um, child, which they had seven, both biological and adopted children. His youngest was starting college, so now he's like empty nest. I'm getting back to work. So,
Hmm.
so that's kind of what he's coming out of that season of having the family at home, and I think that maybe that might come up a little bit with just kind of the content of this movie, and there's a little bit
Yeah.
of there's definitely the dad stuff in there.
Hmm.
Um, that might come up as we dig into it a bit more, but that's where Spielberg is.
Hmm.
But as we know, like Spielberg, a lot of times he's a movie mogul now, so a lot of projects that he ends up doing at this point are projects that come to him,
Hmm.
not always projects that he like thinks of himself. So this movie actually started with a young English playwright named Matt Sharman. He pitched the idea to DreamWorks, which he had found. He had kind of found after this like bunny trail of research he did. He discovered this Donovan guy that was a lawyer in this footnote of a JFK biography he was reading, where it talked about JFK sending him to negotiate with the Bay of Pigs situation and coming away with not. It's kind of that ending title card at the end where he goes in to try to get 1,000 people and ends up getting 9,000. So he's like, well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Let me
Hmm.
read more about this guy. Then he finds out that Donovan was connected in the movie industry. He had worked with John Ford and George Stevens on this 1 hour documentary about the death camps in Germany and Poland.
Yeah.
He was credited as the legal supervision on those. Um,
Yeah. I've heard,
and
Spielberg said that was like the most graphic Holocaust footage that anyone's ever shown, and that it
mm,
was only shown at
at,
the trials,
right, yeah,
and then not shown after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he did, but he also, I think, did some legal work at the trials as well.
Right. Yeah, 'cause he's a lawyer. Yeah, he's part of that.
And so, yeah, so he's digging into this guy, and eventually he comes across this kind of Able Powers exchange story connected to Donovan, and that's what he ends up latching onto and starting to build this story out. So it's interesting that he went through like all that other stuff and like finally came down to this one, and that's the one where he was like, "This is the story. This is the story."
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it is. I mean, it's funny because you would think like, oh, negotiating Bay of Pigs and getting all people that
yeah,
there's a movie, you know?
or even like
Yeah.
testifying at the Nuremberg trials and working
Yeah.
with John Ford. There's a
Yeah.
movie. Or
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
but no, it goes down to this one. And of course, this story, when it comes across the DreamWorks desk, it appeals to Spielberg.
Yeah.
Anytime something that like connects to his childhood in some way comes across his desk, he's like, "Ooh, this is mine."
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, his dad went to the Soviet Union as a part of a engineer exchange that they did. And so his dad was over there, and like saw the U-2 plane and the pilot suit of Powers displayed, as kind of like, this is what they're doing. He was like harassed by some German soldiers at one point because he had an American passport, and they were like, "Look what your country's doing to us" and stuff.
Yeah.
And so his dad came back telling him those stories. But also Steven Spielberg just grew up in that Cold War era.
Yeah.
So he was near a military base in Phoenix when they moved there in 57, like the height of the Cold War, paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
He even said that, like, I read that he, as a kid, had looked at like how the blast radius was and determined that his house would get blown up if they bombed that military base near Phoenix. Just like he was a very anxious kid.
Yeah.
Spielberg, which he talks about a lot. And so that the whole like filling the bathtub with water, he did that as a kid. At one point his dad came home and the tub was filled with water, and he was telling him, we've got to be ready or whatever. So all of that, like all of those Spielberg childhood anxieties, Matt Sharman ends up like working into the script, as we see.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's fun to see him it's fun to see him tackling like that Cold War thing like very directly, and to center it so much on like a normal guy and like a pretty normal family, because I feel like the Cold War like hangs over a lot of his movies, going back so far. I mean, like you could say like there's like Cold War kind of anxiety stuff like built into Close Encounters, know, like it's definitely in there, or E.T. The way the government operates in E.T. feels very Cold War-ish, and then it it can be a little bit more explicit in things like in something like Munich or Kingdom of Crystal Skull, has explicit Cold War stuff in it, but this is like very much like we're gonna make a spy movie.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a good old spy movie and do it straightforward. I think that's cool to do explicitly. I think there's an aspect of all of these I call them social conscience movies, that he makes here in a row here with Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, and The Post, where they are a bit more like on the nose and explicit about what they're about. They're a little almost preachy, but it kind of feels like your uncle like telling you what matters, sitting you down over a holiday and telling you what matters in the world. And that's why I think it's okay that it's a little bit more like directly Cold War, we're doing this thing kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And Munich was that too. And I would say Warhorse is equally like along those same lines. Like it's not as, I don't know. I mean, it's still political. It's a war. It's lighthearted in moments, but also very serious in moments,
Yeah.
and definitely has like a very direct message
Hmm.
about what we should take away from that historical event
Yeah.
through the eyes of that horse. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's really on a roll with this sort of stuff, and
Hmm.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see him using like his just like cachet with society, like the pull he has to really like lean into messages he thinks are important. Um,
Yeah. It's funny, like, there's I was thinking about this when you were talking about like this stage in his career where he's, things are coming across his desk and he's trying to decide what he wants to do. And
hmm
there's a lot more projects where he like talks about doing them, or it's rumored that he's going to do them, but he didn't do them. Like that's kind of more common at this part of his career. And it feels like to me there was an early part of his career where he just wanted to make. There were movies he wanted to make. He wanted to make any movie he could.
yeah,
Like he was just like happy to just do a lot of stuff. And then there becomes a point in the middle of his career where it feels like he's making them. Now he has like all the cachet to do whatever he wants. Now he's going to make the movies that really matter to him,
yeah,
like really, really matter. And then we get like, I was trying to decide where I think the line is. I think it's somewhere around like AI, like Saving
hmm
Private Ryan and AI.
yeah,
And kind of after that, it feels like he's being a little bit more like responsive, a little more searching, a little more like, oh yeah, let's try this now. Oh, let's try this now. Let's do this now.
yeah,
And is a little more apt to experiment a bit. And
hmm
then, but all these movies, I mean, I would say really from like Minority Report on through, they have a moral weight to them.
yeah,
Um, where it's like he's trying to do something useful and good for the world.
hmm
Um, yeah, it
yeah,
feels like a bit like the Lost World was the last one where he was like, okay, I'm just doing it because I have to do it. And
yeah,
then after that, like all these
yeah,
movies have a purpose.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah,
Well,
it's
well,
cool.
I think like all the way up until Schindler's List, he just like he was taken seriously as a filmmaker, but not seriously as uh like an artist with a capital A, I guess. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
which I think me and you would both say is like a little bit like ridiculous that he had to like that he had to endure that criticism. But I mean,
No way. I
criticism is
mean,
criticism, and he's
yeah, when you break Hollywood by
yeah,
making, Raiders and Jaws
yeah,
and
Jurassic
um
Park.
yeah,
Well,
Jurassic Park eventually, but
yeah,
I mean that there's some self-criticism going on there, but like when you break New Hollywood
hmm
and create the blockbuster, and you're going to get a lot of
yeah,
people who aren't going to look at you as anything other than someone who makes theme park rides and sells
mhm,
toys.
yeah.
Um yeah.
Yeah, and so I think when he made Schindler's List and proved like no I can do this too. Um,
Yeah.
I think proved to like the world, but I think especially like proved to himself.
Yeah.
Um, because as much as like we would like to say like artists like Spielberg like just make it for the art, like he puts a lot of weight in what people think of his work.
It really
And
does.
I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think a lot of the great Spielberg movies we get are because he does have his audience so
Yeah.
heavily on his mind.
Yeah.
Um, and so
Yeah,
there's
he,
space
he
for those sorts of artists too. But
yeah, it's been kind of fun to figure out, like, because he obviously cares, and
hmm
he's one of those directors who will say, like, ah, yeah, I screwed that up. Like,
yeah,
he'll talk about Hook and say that Hook's not very good. He's kind of responding to, like, audience,
hmm
like, feedback on that,
yeah,
or he'll say, like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have changed the guns in E.T., and he'll fix it back, because people are
hmm
upset about it. But I've noticed that he doesn't really listen to, like, critics
yeah,
or whatever. He listens to people,
hmm
like actual fans of the movies, and like seems to be very good at figuring out what people really think about his films.
yeah,
Um, Not all filmmakers are like that. They can't separate the things. So
yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, I think it is cool, and I think with that Schindler's List kind of like proving himself to, you know, the
Coming to
critics and
himself.
to himself.
Yeah.
I think at that point, like you said, he did do like The Lost World is kind of like, you could probably say is the last like one. But I mean,
Yeah.
all the ones after that have some sort of like, even the fun ones, like War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much like a 9/11 coded movie.
It absolutely is.
You know, and so
Yeah.
even like the fun ones like War of the Worlds still have
Ready,
that.
Ready Player One. There's one that's like, you could say is like light and nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
But there's like a whole self-criticism thing going on about that movie, or maybe even a. I mean,
The
you haven't gotten
BFG is
to
maybe
that
the
one
only
yet.
one.
Yeah.
Tintin, I think has no message. It's just a fun movie.
It's so complicated. Tintin's so complicated though, right? Because like on one level he was never supposed to direct it.
Sure.
And it was just kind of a complicated production. I feel like Ready Player One's the same way. You know, like he ended up doing it because he was like, well, I don't want anybody else to do it. You know, and it's like Bob Zemeckis can't do it. I guess I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, like 'cause I don't even else to mess this up. Because like the other version of this that somebody else does is really crap. So I might as well be the one. You know.
For
and
sure.
He fixes things that are wrong with the book and stuff like that. So anyway, every once in a while there feels like one where he's like, okay, fine. I think with Tintin he wanted to play with the technology as much as anything else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and rightly so. We talked about that a lot on that episode, and it was one of those. If you haven't listened to that one, it was a good one because I had some like, I didn't go for Tintin all in. It was a bit. It was part of that is maybe because I'm doing this series where I'm like so focused in on Spielberg, and like Tintin to me was just like watching Spielberg like play with a new thing, which is
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
which is fun, but like it ends up being like very distracting for me.
It is.
As
it's
like
very distracting.
But my guest Daniel Howitt like really loved it, and he was like, yeah, I loved watching Spielberg play. And so that's a fun one to listen to because we have like the same take but totally different perspectives on it.
It's a weird movie. Like I enjoy watching him play. For sure. But that's one where you're like, whew. I mean, it's kind of like if Superman just decided to let loose and do whatever the heck he wanted.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, whoa, dude, you got to check your powers because you're Superman, and that's not good. And that's kind of what watching Tintin feels like to me.
Sure.
It's like, whoa, Spielberg, you could do a little too much.
Yeah.
Why don't you just check yourself a little bit?
Oh man, but
he does play though, and I feel like a lot of these movies are him playing in different ways, or just trying stuff out. Like almost like it feels like he takes some of these projects because it would be fun to figure out how to do them. And yeah, we'll talk about more of that with Bridge of Spies, because there's a big part of why I like Bridge of Spies is I feel like you can feel him figuring it out as he goes along. There's a kind of a wet clay aspect to Bridge of Spies that I don't feel with a lot of his movies that are a whole lot more, you can tell they're much more planned out. And anyway, we'll get to that. But
yeah. And I think this one is, it's been a while since I've seen Lincoln, and that episode will have already been out at this point, but I'm actually recording it after this, so I'll be revisiting it soon. So I don't, this opinion might be like reversed after I revisit that, but this feels like one of his just most, and this is just how it turns out, like the end product, setting aside what he does along the way, but it feels like one of his most just like a classical, straightforward story. You go straight through. There's not anything like super flashy. Like even the Kaminsky cinematography is just right on the line. Like it doesn't cross the over stylized line. They're really like, he's really like holding the reins in on this one. It feels like,
he's very, he's working in that like John Huston mode. He's definitely trying to make the kind of movie he would have loved watching when he was a kid.
Yes.
And
Uh,
there's only like the only sequence that kind of deviates from that is the actual U2 crash,
sure.
which is full of all the things you can do now,
Yeah.
you know. But even though it's okay to have one sequence like that,
Yeah.
especially when the rest
I
is
enjoyed
so.
that sequence. I thought it
Oh,
was
it's great.
well made.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like, yeah, I like that you say that this is like a movie he would love to watch as a kid. I think this is like the great version of Always, which is the other movie he made that he would have loved to watch as a kid.
Yeah.
And Always just doesn't work for me.
It's weird. It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I even
amazing
watched.
how unlikable Richard Dreyfuss can be. Yeah.
Yes. I even watched like the original one, and that didn't help at all.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What a strange movie that one is. Yeah. I like his weird movie though. I mean, it was funny, you know, my wife and I don't know, I get these like intuitions, I don't know, where I just like have to watch a movie. I don't really know why. And it was a few months ago, and I was like, I don't know, I gotta watch Bridge of Spies. First, I watched Bridge of Spies tonight. I just turned Bridge of Spies on. I had no idea why. And as I was watching, I was like, I wonder if Eli's done that. I gotta find out. And the message was like, if you do this, I want to do this movie, which
Yeah.
is so weird because it's not like my favorite of his movies. Like,
Yeah.
even as this has been coming up, I'm like, part of me is like, I should have said Lincoln because I love Lincoln. Like,
Yeah.
I love Lincoln so much. Like, it's like top tier Spielberg for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've done like tons of research on Lincoln and written like lots of things on Lincoln and all this stuff, whole presentations on Lincoln and all this,
Very
whatever.
cool.
But I don't know. Bridge of Spies is a little bit more fun to talk about for me, kind of for the same reason that I feel like it was fun for Spielberg to make, because it just is more. It's not a rough draft. There's nothing rough draft about this movie at
No.
all.
Yeah.
But it's more just kind of off the cuff and looser in a way than what I feel like a lot of his movies are.
I'm skipping way ahead in the notes, but I think this is relevant. I wrote down this quote. This is it's not a quote. It's more of like a summarization of. So Molly Haskell is has one of the books that I've been like reading through and this is actually the last movie covered in that book.
In the book, yeah.
So I won't have that going forward, unfortunately, because she has some very like interesting perspectives from like kind of a feminist worldview on Spielberg. But she had noted a Manohla Dargis review at the time that found she said in her review that this movie was less weighted down by a created history or a sense of duty to its significance than Lincoln or Munich.
Yeah.
And I think that matches totally what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even Spielberg doesn't say it's a true story.
Yeah.
Like, they don't put that on it. Like, they just kind of like,
Yeah.
because he said,
They took so
because
many
we
liberties.
take as many liberties as we do, that we don't really consider it a true story, even though it's, I mean, pretty accurate.
It
So,
is.
Like, yeah. what
Like
happened.
the example he gave in so there's like a I think it's actually the first episode of the director's cut, which is like the DGA podcast where they record like filmmakers having conversations about their films.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever listened to that, but it's I think it was the first episode of that podcast feed was Bridge of Spies, but it was Scorsese and Spielberg talking about this movie.
I have watched that video.
Yeah.
It's an amazing conversation.
It
It's
is.
so much fun to watch those guys talk.
It's great.
Yeah.
But I think in that he was talking about like, you know, we didn't put true story, but like most of it is like true with just like I tweaked it for dramatic effect, you know.
Yeah.
And the example he gave was the shooting the house
Shoot
scene
through the window. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at that point in Donovan's real life, they had actually moved into an apartment.
Yeah.
When the house was shot at, he wasn't even living there at the
They
time.
weren't in it.
Yeah, they weren't in it, and then there was only like one bullet that went through the window, and Spielberg was like, you know, I put it up to like 5 bullets through the window,
Yeah.
and Scorsese was like, well, I would have done way more than that.
Yeah.
So it's like liberties like that, like
Yeah.
for dramatic effect, he felt like it was important to show, you know, I think this too, like, shows like just the importance of Spielberg and his like collaborative crew at the time,
Mm-hmm.
because originally there was a lot more family scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
That ended up having to get cut out. Spielberg, he just talks about, you kind of learn even all these great scenes that we filmed with the family, like they just don't push the story forward in the way that you want it to. But this is like the one like big family scene, along with like the little dinner table one.
Yeah.
That does enough, like in that short, quick moment, to build that family relationship the way it needed to be built. So yeah, it's just kind of like the wisdom at this point of his career of knowing like how to work with Michael Kahn to edit out what needs to be there and what doesn't. And yeah.
So I wonder if this is the time for this or not. I'm going to tell you, there's something I do want to talk about with this movie, and it maybe should come up later. I'm going to tell you what it is, and you tell me to hold it.
Okay, let's
if
do
it should come up later in the production history. So I have a theory of what exactly it was about this story that drew Spielberg to it, beyond the fact that his dad saw the U2 plane. Like
Okay.
I have a little theory. I have no. It's just my own little theory. As far as I know, he's never said this thing that I'm going to say, or commented on this aspect of the story. So
Let's
let's
hold
wait
it.
for that. I'll hold
Let's
that a
hold
little
it.
bit. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hold it, because I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
As we dig into like our thoughts on the movie.
Okay.
Let's along with talking about Michael Kahn, let's like talk through the crew
Cool.
real quick. So we, Spielberg produced it with a couple. I think I can't remember if he's produced with Mark Platt before, but I recognize that name. Christy McCosco Krieger, didn't recognize her name, but she was all up in the special features.
I bet she's the German producer, because this was a co-production and they filmed a lot in Germany.
She didn't have a German accent though.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
not at all.
And they hired a bunch of like German crew when they shot over there.
Yeah,
all that
they
kind of
did.
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah.
Yeah,
It had to be somebody though.
Yeah, I didn't. I forgot to click on her little letterbox profile to see what else she's produced.
Yeah.
But she might be important. I didn't recognize her name at all. Screenplay is where it gets interesting. You have Matt Charman, who we talked about already, found the story, wrote the script, pitched it to DreamWorks. But once the script was completed, it must have been Mark Platt's kind of like idea, because he's the one that talks about it in the special features. They sent it to the Coen brothers. So Joe and Ethan Coen have a pass at the script. And I think, I think it's one of those things where like they are like what people talk about with the script. I think it's Matt Charman's script.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So from what I can tell, just from like what I've heard in Spielberg interviews and just from like the reading I've done, the Coens really like just like tweaked up and tailored and like perfected the dialogue sequences. So especially like the negotiations, anytime there's like those quick exchanges with Hanks and someone, that's where you feel the Coens come through. And so, like the whole like your guy, my guy, like Spielberg explicitly said that was the Coens.
It feels like the Coens.
It does. And then
does.
the whole like
stands out a little bit.
A little
quite
bit,
honestly. Yeah.
The thing that stood out to me that I was like, this is 100% Coens, is when he gets to East Germany and you have like the fake family there.
Yeah.
I was like, this is Coens all the way for sure.
It is kind of funny. I started feeling bad for Matt Sharman when I was reading about the movie, because I was like, this is really his thing.
It is.
Like, really his thing, and everyone just talks about the Coens all the time.
Yeah.
And they kind of stand out, and I'm not sure. Like, I think Tom Hanks, who's worked with them before, kind of knows their thing, and then Mark Rylance seems like he can do anything.
Yeah.
It just kind of like it ends up working because they can do it.
Yeah. And I don't even know that they really wrote. I don't. It seemed, from what I can tell, like we'll never know exactly what they did, but it seems to me that they weren't really doing a whole lot with the Abel scenes.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I think they
Just
were
trying to
doing
help the
yeah,
negotiation thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Makes sense.
And
Yeah.
the other thing that like you'll read and hear Spielberg say is that they kind of like took the Donovan character and infused it with more of Tom Hanks' personality. Which, if that's something they did, I think that is a really big part of the movie. Because at one point I was watching this movie and I told my wife after, because she's a huge You've Got Mail fan. I was like, this is Joe Fox, like just a little older, and as a lawyer, but it's totally like I felt
Joe Fox is probably a lawyer. Let's be real. He's probably a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt that character all through this, and that character also feels like infused with Tom Hanks's personality,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was like that when I got like when I had that itch where I had to watch the movie. I think what I kind of figured out was that it was that thing that I wanted to like spend some time with, like his lawyeriness, and the way that he negotiated, and the way that he like the particular way he was able to like. It's not just that he's trying to accomplish what he wants to accomplish.
Yeah.
He's trying to let them accomplish what they want to accomplish as well. And trying to convince them that the best way for them to accomplish what they want to accomplish is to let him accomplish what he wants to accomplish.
Yeah.
And trying to keep all the egos down throughout all of that and keep the focus on the thing that they're doing and not on any way that they might feel about what's going on. And the particular way that he kind of negotiates all of that. I think that's the thing that I needed when I needed to watch this movie more than anything else. I don't know if it's just stuff going on in my life where I found myself in some negotiating positions or just trying to like learn how to like be involved in a situation in an ethical, broadly speaking, an ethical way.
Yeah.
To stay true to yourself throughout it, but then to like also have that little bit of distance that he has in those moments of like, we're trying to accomplish something here.
Yeah.
If I can step back a little bit from this and kind of work the room, work the situation more than the person, maybe we can get this done. I think that's the thing I like, that I felt like I needed in that moment. And it's all there. I mean, it's all in the way that he interacts, the way that he talks.
We're definitely jumping around in the notes, but like one of the things that I had noted was when you pair this character with Lincoln, which I'm sure you'll being a huge fan of that will be able to speak to. You really see like some of like Spielberg's obsession at this time, and one of the big ones is like these men like kind of standing up against all odds and justifying their actions with their moral values, but doing it in a way where they're like adapting the rules of the game because they know the system is rigged. So like you kind of see that with Donovan in this. He kind of like adapts, like he kind of figures out, okay, like they're not going to let me go through a due process in a legitimate way. So like, how can I keep my moral values and do what I feel like I need to do, but play it on their terms? Which is interesting. And I think, I don't know, it's one, I heard recently someone talking about like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and how like when she passed away, like all of the justices that you would think like would have hated her, like loved her. And it's because she operated in this way where she kind of adapted and she stood on her morals and what she thought was right and fought for those things, but did it in a way where she was able to like come alongside people and befriend them and play and even like do things the way she wanted, but on their terms, but still get done what she wanted to get done. Very interesting for sure.
Yeah.
And you see that with Lincoln too. I just got done listening to the abridged version of Team of Rivals.
Yeah.
Love
that book.
Super, super. I want to eventually listen to the whole thing, but
Yeah,
it's a
great book.
It's like 41 hours on the audiobook, and
yeah, it's a big one.
didn't have time for that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, fascinating the way that Lincoln operated in that same kind of way. Like,
Well, yeah, it's funny. I said I love Lincoln, and there are definitely some similarities between. I mean, I would say all three of these movies. I would include The Post as this other conscience movie in here, and in all three of these movies, you have someone who's trying to do what they see as the right thing, with a lot of people around them trying to get them to not do that.
Yeah.
And they're having to be people of moral conviction to see that through. What is very different about all three of these movies, though, is how much power the person has who is at the center of the center of the story. Because Abraham Lincoln is president of the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, it's heavily contested, but he is the president of the United States, and he is willing to use he's willing to turn every dial, use every lever, anything he can do. Some of it not maybe questionably legal by his own admission, because the question is the legality of it all anyway. And so he has to do it to find out if he can do it or not.
Yeah.
It's part of being president in his case. And but he's not sure exactly what the rules say he can do, so he's going to try to do anything he can. He's a man of great power. But Donovan's not a man of great power. That's kind of the whole deal with him. Like, when they send him over to Germany, he is explicitly not a representative of the United States government. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a guy. No one's going to save him. Like, he's just going to do this thing. He's just a man. He's just an American who believes in America and the things that it stands for. And he is someone who can't bend the rules. It's very important that he not bend the rules in the way that Lincoln does. He has to know and believe what the rules are and live for them. Absolutely, he's gonna find every way he can to make the rules work for him. But he exists in many ways to remind people of what the goodness of the rules themselves.
Yeah.
Very, very different, and in that way, very different than Lincoln, I think, and very interesting. Like with Lincoln, I think you have a movie where Spielberg is looking at what's going on during the Obama administration and the kind of divisions that were exacerbated throughout that time, and the way that leaders in our country, people in power, were not working together.
Right.
It's only gotten worse since then.
Yeah.
But could see then just how their unwillingness to compromise, their unwillingness to work together, was just a non-starter. Like you don't have a country when you're not doing that anymore. And he made a movie that showed a time that was arguably even more divided, and how people of courage, Tommy Lee Jones' character, for instance, in that movie, like how they were willing to find the conviction to reach across aisles and to work together to accomplish something greater than them. But now here we have in this movie we have a man who is no one special. He ends up doing special things. He's a gifted negotiator, but he's just a man with a family, and he has to believe and hold up. It's kind of like Spielberg saying, yeah, your leaders got to do what they're supposed to do, but the people have to believe in this thing as well. The people have to hold this if it's ever going to survive, because the people are the one who hold the people that hold the leaders to hold them accountable. We have to be better than them. You know, normal people have to do it. With The Post, which you'll get to, a bit of a messier film, I think, but it's about business leaders. It's about captains of industry. It has to be journalism in this case, but there are others who are running that, who are on the board of that newspaper, and it's what do they owe society, in that kind of power? So different positions of power and how that works out. But
and I think that's that is a big thing in the script, is this kind of like, you know, this persona that Tom Hanks is like leaning into in this at this point of his career of the everyman. That
Everyman. Yep.
That I
It
think
had to be Tom Hanks. It couldn't be anybody else.
right, and he's
Because
not
Tom
trying to
Hanks
be
is
cool
everyman.
either in this movie.
No,
like
no.
he's way beyond that in his career. And and I think that's what like drew maybe Sharman to this part of Donovan's story, in particular, is because at this point he really like he had been. I think there's a degree to which like, okay, this guy wasn't like just a nobody. Like he went to Fordham and Harvard. He was he did some stuff with the Nuremberg trial. So like he's an attorney like that's very well respected apparently. But the way that I think what attracted Sharman and then eventually Spielberg to this is just that thing, like okay, what is it about this guy where he can get way more than he's ever supposed to in a million years, like, that footnote that Sharman found him in where like he gets 9,000 people when he was sent to get 1,000. It's just like fascinating. Like, who is this guy? I've never even heard of him. This kind of like blip in American history, that did something so big, and then this is where it all starts, kind of. So I think that really, and I think that's like, the Coens did I think great with the character personality and the dialogue sequence they did, but I think Sharman's script really does like is where all that is found in his script. So shout out to Sharman. He got the short end of the stick with the screenplay credits on this one, but I think he did a great job.
Yep. Me too.
Yeah. I mean, so
did you read the thing about he'd been pitching the story around, and then he got told that Spielberg wanted to be pitched directly. He wanted Spielberg to pitch him directly.
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
And so like he was like, so expect a phone call, and so like the phone rang and it was Steven Spielberg, and he was like, I love your pitch, like I want to hear it, pitch me. And so like he just like he said he was like so nervous. He said like stripped down to like t-shirts and boxers because he was like sweating so much and like was like so nervous about it all. And he just like started talking and like telling the story and like, pitching it to Spielberg, and he like went on for a long time, and there was like no sound, and it hit pause. There was like no sound on the phone, and like paused for a second, and then Spielberg was like, "I'm loving every word of this. Don't stop talking." It's like he kept going again or whatever, and it said he wanted to make the movie.
Yeah, that's so cool. Spielberg thrives on like people excited about stories, because he's the same way. Like when he's excited about a story, it seems like, especially when you like look at behind the scenes stuff in his younger days, and he's just like he's so excited and like not that he's not when he's older, but just that young energy,
he just has that. He always kind of like Scorsese. Like there's a little bit of why that conversation between both of them is so good, because they both have this thing where like they're like some of the most famous and accomplished filmmakers of all time, right? And yet there's still an aspect of them that you can feel the kid that's like, I can't believe I get to make movies. Like every movie I get to make, I can't believe I get to make movies.
For sure.
And I can't believe I get to work with these great people, but I can't believe I get to make movies.
Yeah.
Oh man, so fun.
Yeah, for sure. Just to run through the rest of the crew. A lot of these are like, so some of these are like new, kind of the typical Michael Kahn editor, Janusz Kaminski DP. You got Adam Somner, assistant director, has been working with Spielberg forever. Same with Mitch Dubin with the camera. You have Gary Rydstrom doing sound. I mean, but you also get some new names. Thomas Newman doing the music. I think John Williams, I think he said was dealing with some sort of illness.
Yeah,
But I
this
think
was this
also
is
working on Star Wars.
yeah, this was fascinating. So I read him. I heard Spielberg talking about this.
Yeah.
He said that he has a deal with John Williams that he will always do Spielberg's films, and whenever he signs on to do something else, that whenever Williams signs on to do something else, there's a thing in his contract that says I can pause doing this to go work on something for Spielberg if he has a movie coming out.
Oh wow.
And so he had the same deal on Star Wars. He worked on The Force Awakens, is what he was working on at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was all lined up to do. He was going to stop doing that and spend 2 months doing Bridge of Spies, because it's only about 30 or 40 minutes of music in the movie. It's not a score heavy film. And he was going to just step aside, do that, and then go back to working on Star Wars. But he had heart problems, and he had to have a stent put in.
Oh wow. Okay.
And his doctor told him, like, you're fine, you're gonna be fine, but you can't do any of your conducting work, anything like that, for like 7 weeks.
Wow.
And it just knocked out the time he was going to use to work on this.
Yeah, that
and so
stinks.
Spielberg said it was the worst phone call he's ever received.
Oh man.
Was both finding out that John Williams was having heart surgery,
Right.
and that he wasn't going to be able to do the score, for Bridge of Spies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Thomas Newman, good composer. I mean, he's done some Pixar work. Shawshank, I think. Yeah, and there's a degree to where like it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. I've been just like hearing John Williams scores nonstop through this series. And I've shared a few times that there's a degree to which like they all start to like blend together and sound the same at some point. That's why like Catch Me If You Can has become like my favorite John Williams score.
It's fun
because it's so different. But yeah, Thomas Newman, he did a good job. There's not a whole lot, like you said, in this movie, and it's kind of like the rest of the movie. It's not really overbearing, which I think is strong.
That's how movies were in the 50s, though. I mean, that's what these movies were like. They used to have a theme. You have music come in moments, to really punch up something. But for a lot of the time in those old movies, like they're scoreless for the most part.
Yeah, and I think maybe it was good for this movie that Thomas Newman did it, because Williams has a tendency to like really like amp up the emotion. Yeah. For better and for worse, I think, in some instances. I would say mostly for better, but sometimes for worse. And I think in this movie, it, we'll never know, but Thomas Newman did a good job, I think.
Oh yeah, he did a great job.
Another newcomer was Adam Stockhausen, who even Spielberg in that little interview with Scorsese was like, oh yeah, that's the guy that does all of Wes Anderson's movies. Because anytime I see Adam Stockhausen, I was like, oh, that's the Wes guy. And so it felt good to like think in the same way as Spielberg for that half a second. But yeah, it's fun. Stockhausen he's a great production designer, obviously, to put together all those Wes Anderson sets.
Oh yeah.
This is way different than that. But looks great. I bet he enjoyed it. Working in a real world and not a Anderson world. Yeah. And this does feel very real. Like this, like between his work and Kaminsky's, which, is funny because Kaminsky sometimes can, his like, the haziness of his movies can become like over stylized in good ways, but sometimes in like distracting ways. Like that's, to me, like Minority Report, I think I would love even more if like I wasn't blinded by backlighting like every 5 seconds. And that's just like a stylistic choice that doesn't work for me. Maybe it works for others, but I still really love Minority Report. But that was like one of the weaker things. But he's really toned down, and Adam Stockhausen, I guess, is toned down too from his typical Wes fare. And this one looks great. I think the locations are doing a lot of work too. So whoever's usually production designers are all up in the location scouting. So I'm sure he had a lot of decisions on that. But he wasn't in the special features, so I don't know.
Probably busy working on a Wes Anderson movie.
Probably. Ellen Lewis does the casting. She's done
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of Spielberg stuff.
Yeah.
And then
One of the greats.
Yeah, costume. So here's where you definitely get some Germans with set decoration. Bernard Henrich, that's got to be a German guy.
Yeah.
And Rena D'Angelo, probably not, but costumes, Cassia Walika Maimon, who knows how to say that name? She does, but I don't. Good costumes in this movie. It's just when you don't notice the costumes, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I guess not all. It's good to notice them, but yeah.
Costumes play a big part in this movie.
They
It's
do.
his coat taken away.
The coat,
huge thing.
man.
I had that coat.
Saks Fifth Avenue. Is that what he says it is? Yeah.
Saks.
Hello again. Do you know how you can really support the show for free in just a few minutes or less? That's right. Just leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple, or wherever you listen that might allow for ratings and reviews. These really help the visibility of the podcast. In fact, just hit that pause button right now and drop the review right now. And then you can get back to the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay. I trust that you went and left that rating and review now. Back to the show.
Yeah, it's Tom Hanks, fourth collaboration with Spielberg. This is a good like decade-ish after The Terminal. So it's been a while. They've I guess would their TV work have come out in between there, maybe?
Yeah, they did the miniseries between there, right?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
Band of Brothers, I think, was around that time. So it's not like they haven't been working together, but just not on feature films.
Yeah, Band of Brothers and the
Pacific?
The Pacific. Yeah.
But yeah, this is not the last collab. He comes back for the post.
Yep.
But yeah, close to last. And you know, of course, Spielberg didn't really have anybody else in mind for this part. And if Tom Hanks gets a call from Spielberg, then he's probably going to say yes. So
yeah, you needed Gary Cooper. You needed our Gary Cooper.
Yeah,
so that's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, Hanks, he's ready to go. Loves history, loves military history. Dude just likes history, so he's all on board. Mark Rylance is a little bit of a different story. He's somebody that Spielberg had kind of circled. What I read was like for 30 years. He had been kind of aware of Rylance. And he saw him in a performance of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night in London and was like, I've got to get this guy.
Yeah, because he was with the Royal Shakespeare Company for like 25 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he was the first director of the Royal Shakespeare Company as well, I think. I read that.
Something like that. And from what I can tell, he did a lot of also just a lot of like reimagining of stuff and just a lot of creative work with those productions.
It's kind of fun to read about someone like that where like people like Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg know about this guy because he's like a legendary stage actor,
right?
You know, and then I've never heard of him before because I don't follow stage acting
exactly,
you know? And for them to be like geeking out over the fact that they get to work with Mark Rylance is pretty fun.
Yeah,
you know, it's fun to think of Tom Hanks geeking out about getting to work with somebody.
Yeah,
it's
for
cool.
sure. Yeah, and I mean Spielberg. I guess like when you're a movie producer, you just like have to be tuned in to playwrights and stage productions. Like War Horse, obviously, they made because they loved the play. The Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall saw it, and then they were like, told Spielberg, "You've got to go see it." So he went and saw it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he goes to plays and is like sees Rylance and he's like, I've got to get this guy. Obviously, like ideal for this particular character too, because it's a Soviet spy but born and raised in Scotland, so ideal for that. Doesn't have to do a Russian accent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wrote down this Spielberg quote about Rylance. He said, Mark played it with inscrutable ease, which I think is a great description.
Mm-hmm.
He goes on to say, he invites you to look deeply into him to try to discover his secrets, and we get inexorably drawn into his character. Then we're left with a decision on our own moral values. Do we want to like him, or will we prevent ourselves from liking him too much? And I wrote that down because I think it just comments very well on like what Rylance is doing with that character, which is like just enough to like make you wonder more about this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love spy movies. I have forever. But you know, most of the time, spy movies are, you know, there's someone like James Bond,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
or like it's someone that like when that guy walks in the room, everybody in the room looks at that guy.
Ethan Hunt,
You know? Yeah, exactly. Ethan Hunt. Jason Bourne, you know, it's like these people are not invisible. But like when you read about like actual spies, being invisible, being not noticed is everything.
Right.
And to be like just a small, unassuming, forgettable human being, that's a spy, you know?
Yep.
Nothing interesting about you at all, if you can manage it. And he plays that so well.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, Rylance is. So one of the things that I loved was hearing Spielberg talk about Hanks talk about Rylance. Spielberg like shares a story about how like after the first thing they shoot together is like that first meeting. And after like a few takes, Hanks like pulls Spielberg aside and he's like, first of all, this guy is incredible. And second of all, he's like, I've got my work cut out for me because I've got to keep my guy in his talkative, energetic character. You know, and Spielberg talked about like as an actor, sometimes it's tempting to like match stillness or quietness with stillness and quietness, which can be a mistake. And in this case, it would have been because the Donovan character is not a still, quiet character. And so, but it was cool to see like Spielberg recognize that, but also like Hanks immediately just as an actor recognize, okay, like I've got to work really hard to not fall into that temptation as an actor. And it just speaks to like the acting acumen, I guess, of Hanks, but also like just the black hole gravity of that Rylance brought to that part.
Of a great actor doing a great job.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, just like, I mean, even just micro, you know, expressions that he makes, that you can tell like something's turned around in that mind, but you just don't know what it is. And I love characters like that, you know.
I think it's pretty. I mean, Rylance had done like a few little roles before, just a couple of small roles. Nothing this in the middle of things. And I think it's pretty amazing that he was good enough to know being a stage actor and doing Shakespeare, you know, and stuff like that, which is much bigger.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be much bigger. Like to know how to be so small and so still, and to give just these small looks that do everything.
Yes.
Because that's film acting compared to stage acting, you know.
Yeah.
And
the pauses too.
Good.
Like pregnant pauses, like he like kills in this movie. You know, there's moments where like he looks at, you know, as Abel, like glances at Donovan for like, you know, it feels like longer, but it's probably like 1.5 seconds or so. Before he makes his remark or whatever it is, and that like 1.5 seconds is like so full of something. You know, you have to kind of like figure out what you think that something is, but
and it does, like it's kind of like in that quote, like you have to decide what you're going to do with him.
Yeah.
And like Donovan has to decide what he's going to do with him, like in those moments, right? Like it's almost like Kuleshov effect of a human being, you know, where like he's giving you nothing. He's giving you not nothing, but like a very blank kind of thing that invites you to project upon it.
Yeah.
And like, so everybody else in the world is looking at, is looking at Rudolph
Rudolph
right?
Abel.
Yeah. And seeing everyone else in America look at him and seeing a evil Soviet spy,
Right.
traitor, horrible person. And they're just projecting that onto him. And Donovan has to go through the work of not doing that.
Right.
Of thinking, well, he may be those things. He may have done great harm to this country. Who knows? But he is still owed. He is still owed our justice. If our justice means anything, he's owed it. And having to like not project that stuff onto him.
Yeah.
How hard that must have been to do.
Yeah. I mean,
as for a human being, just for Donovan to do that in the real world, in real life, to not do that, you know, so hard.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things that like I would love to think I would be the same in the same situation, but there's just it's so hard when you're actually in those situations to.
It's scary.
It's like it's the epitome of like loving your enemy in a way, that whole idea, and loving them, and not in the sense of like, oh, you're like loving them like you love your family. It's a love your enemy in the sense of like you're going to do your best to help them be treated as a human. And that's
it gets at like why that is such a daring thing to do.
Yeah, because
the reason that we want to like project suspicions or to decide about who a person is it then we can deal with that thing that we decide that they are. We can protect ourselves from the harm that they might otherwise do to us, you know. But letting someone be ambiguous, taking that step away and like letting them be whoever they are and still doing the right thing, you put yourself at risk in that situation. And Donovan puts himself at risk. I mean, quite
himself,
his
literally. Family.
The whole time, and that's that moral courage thing, you know, that he's looking for.
For
amazing.
sure.
Yeah, and it's great that it's like right there in the performances.
It is,
you know, as much as it is in the story itself. It's right there in the performances.
It is,
and the way they interact with each other. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah. Were there any other like characters or actors that stood out to you in this? Because there's a lot. There's a lot of them.
There's a whole bunch of people. I know. I mean, it's tough though, right? Because those two actors, and those two characters are so. They're not big, but they're kind of big.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they have a lot of gravity.
Yeah.
They're dense. Everybody else can kind of get lost a little bit, but they don't really get lost. But it kind of can almost feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
They don't matter as much. Francis Gary Powers, I think that Austin Stowell does a terrific job in that role. It's also a hard role.
It is. There's not much to work with.
There's really not, but it's really important that for us to understand like the way that the rest of the world felt, the rest of America felt about that guy. And there's almost like there's parts of me when I watch that, every time I watch this movie, where I feel like, oh, I wish there was like an extra half hour that just gave us more about Powers, and like helped us to, like, we're already asking these moral questions about Abel and about, you know, Donovan and whatever. Like, and the movie does ask them about Powers, but like, let's just do it a little bit more, you know, because there's a whole extra like layer of that going on here as well.
I almost wonder though if that's like the choice was like, okay, to do that with Powers would be like preaching to the choir, and that's not as interesting as like, let's do it with the guy that we're not supposed to like, you know. I think
for sure. And I mean, Donovan doesn't really interact with Powers, so it kind of would take it away from his story a little bit too. It already feels like you're a little bit away from his story when you're with the stuff with Powers.
That's one of my only like quibbles with if I have any. It's
Yeah.
hardly a quibble, but like just all of those powers, sequences. It's not anything to do with like Stoll as the actor or even like
Right.
the writing. It's just like within the structure, you feel like you're being pulled away from the real story a bit in those moments. But it is necessary.
It
So
is,
it's
and
it's a catch-22 really.
I think it's two things. I mean, I think it's probably something that Spielberg really wanted to shoot and a
Sure.
story he wanted to tell. He didn't want to cut that out because
Right.
one of the reasons he wanted to do this was because of the U2 plane and his dad seeing it, all that kind of stuff. So like, there's a personal aspect to it, and I think he just wanted to fly a U2 bomber around and film it, and he wanted to make it explode. All that stuff was fun to do. The guy who was making war movies with his Boy Scout troop wants to make the U2 plane go down.
Yeah.
So there's that, but it's also it is narratively important.
It is, yeah.
But it's more than important. I think more though, it's thematically related, because it gets back at that thing about how we look at someone and judge them for what they've done, what we think they've done or haven't done.
Yeah.
Because everyone was doing that to Francis Gary Powers. People talk about they think he should have died with the plane. I mean, if he hadn't died, none of this would have been a problem.
Yeah.
So that it's thematically related too.
Yeah.
So
And
it's fine.
I think too, like maybe to a lesser degree, but it's still there. I think with the Frederick Pryor, even that's sort of there. Like, what is that dude doing over there? Like, what was this dude thinking? Like, maybe he deserves to be, in the German prison. He's not worth our
student.
time. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, he's funny. He's almost like a bonus.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I think Powers does. I think both of those actors do a good job of like, kind of projecting this. It's a similar blank slate to Abel, maybe a little less blank. You still have to like project onto them what you think of them, because you don't see enough. I guess with Pryor, you see him like trying to save the girl and stuff. So you get a little bit with him, but you don't see a lot of who they are, other than maybe like the interrogation scene. But even then, you don't know if he said anything or not. So there's a bit of like you said, parallel there with the blank slate. You have to project onto them what you think.
I mean, you also have. You have to have Pryor as well, because he is part of what Donovan does. He gets him out, and he uses that as part of his negotiation. And if they cut that whole out, like you would have missed one of the points on your triangle that he's trying to work out. So or lost tension. So
and I think those actors do good. I think the few moments you get with Amy Ryan are good as his wife.
Oh yeah,
a little
Spielberg's mom stand-in.
Yeah.
Now it's like every time I see someone like that in the Spielberg movie, I'm like, oh, that's just his mom. That's Spielberg's mom.
I mean, yeah, she's good.
I love Amy Ryan.
Yeah, I mean
Not much to do.
Vogel character I think is good. Sebastian Koch.
Yeah.
Coach. I don't know how to say that name. He's solid.
Real quick on Mary Donovan,
Yeah.
I'll say, like, Spielberg talks about when his dad said he was going to go do this engineer exchange thing or whatever, like goodwill exchange, that his mom was so angry at his dad, and they had a big fight with the kids present, and then had to like make up and figure it out later or whatever. But like, she was very upset about it. So
You feel
I
that
think
resentment in the movie, I think.
you do. Like
The looks.
whether it was like whether Mary Donovan really felt that way about what Ray was doing. Like, I think like Spielberg had to have that in there because that was what he experienced.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you definitely feel the. I think I even wrote in my notes, scribbled like resentment from the wife at one point. Like, you really feel it. I mean, at the dinner table sequence, it's there, but it's especially there like after and rightly so, after the shooting. The other I'm trying to find in my the other character that I thought was really good was where's the guy? Mikhail Gorvoy.
Yeah, the Russian guy
Yeah,
or a German guy, I guess, or whatever. Yeah,
the guy
he's
that
great.
he first meets when he gets there. That's like
Yeah.
The character I think is Ivan Shishkin. Yeah, he's great. I love
So good.
that one was very like again, that whole like sequence was like very Coen brother feels, and that character definitely had that feel to him. So maybe that's why I liked him.
A little bit of a quirk.
Yeah,
a little bit of quirk to him.
That kind of like sly, like smooth talkingness to him, for sure is there. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the other characters are like, so it's one of those Spielberg things where he can build a character very efficiently when he wants to. And so it's one of those things where all the other characters kind of like fall into the background of Donovan and Abel, but they still feel fully formed in a way. It's this like magic I think that Spielberg is able to do with the way he. I mean, it's got to be there in the script for him to work with, but I do think it is just how good Spielberg is at like. I mean, just think about like the scene with the daughter, being stood up and his like junior lawyer assistant guy like coming in. It's like you get everything you need to know about his daughter, even though that's the only time you hear her or see her really. All you need to know about her, all you need to know about his assistant, all from that one like thing. And you forget about them. They just kind of fade into the background. But in that moment, they feel like fully formed characters. And I just love that thing that Spielberg does with that. I guess we should also mention there was a Jesse Plemons sighting in this movie.
There is, yep. A Jesse Plemons jump scare. There's a bunch of those back in the teens.
Yeah.
Before we knew who he was.
Oh man. Yeah. You definitely don't know who he is in this movie. He is not. Yeah. He is not
not really there.
He's not the Jesse Plemons we know and are frightened of now. I think my favorite Jesse Plemons character is still Game Night, though.
Oh yeah, he's so good.
But yeah, I mean he's fine in the movie. He's just kind of only there for
little role.
2 minutes maybe. I also really liked Max Malf, who plays the Harold Ott's secretary for that one scene. I think because it's a very good scene, but I think he kind of has that like anxious assistant energy really well. So figured I'd shout that guy out too.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the production before I think out of the production we'll jump into your theory.
Okay. Cool.
Because I'm excited to hear that. This was made between September and December 2014. They started in New York City. I think Spielberg mentioned this is the most he had ever shot in New York. Because I mean, you do get a good, I guess half the movie, in New York. Yeah. They were in Brooklyn. They were in Astoria, Queens, Lower Manhattan. So they really just spent a lot of time shooting in New York, which he said was a great time. Other locations, they went to Bill Air Force Base out in your neck of the woods in California for the U-2 plane stuff. I think I'm pretty sure the U-2 plane was like built in like 1980.
They said the program is still in operation. They still do U-2 spy.
They're still used.
Stuff.
Yeah. I kind of doubt they have gigantic cameras coming out of the bottom of them anymore. Right. That kind of cracked me up.
Yeah, maybe they do though.
They might. I don't know.
We wouldn't really know. They got IMAX cameras sticking off the 506.
But
They gotta get.
even IMAX
They gotta
cameras
get.
are like a portion of the size of the ones you see in the
Yeah.
movie. Those
I
things
mean,
are huge.
they probably do. I mean, they got to get like really high resolution, like pictures
Yeah.
from really, really far up.
Yeah.
You know, you would need a really large aperture to be able to do
Yeah,
that.
I guess so. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, you know, this is real, but like the size of it is just kind of comical.
Right,
Because you
yeah.
just you're not used to seeing lenses that big.
Yeah.
But yeah, those things. So I think they were hitting like, I think they say 70,000 feet in the movie.
Wow.
But I think that at the time, I think I read that that was like an altitude record at that point in time. And so, but they couldn't like brag about that because they didn't want anybody to know.
Not. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing digital in the plane takeoff stuff. They just were driving vehicles along the U-2 plane, really taking off.
Yeah.
So, but it's really the only thing digital in the whole movie is the crash sequence. They, you got the actor in a cockpit on a mechanical arm in front of a blue screen for that sequence, but it looks really good.
It does.
They did a really, really great job with that. The digital effects movie magic worked for that one.
Yep.
'Cause I think they had like just enough practical stuff with the like real cockpit that he was working with, for it to work. But yeah, love that stuff. It's kind of a throwaway part of the movie, but really exciting to watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like I feel it's one of those things like, well, if I'm going to do this movie, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah, might as well.
Let's put this on film. Best we can. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then they go to Berlin. After about a month in New York, they fly to Berlin. They already have like a second team working there. Tom Hanks said it feels like a city of ghosts, which I thought was an interesting observation. Definitely see that being the case with the history of the city. So, but yeah, they shot at Tempelhof Airport, which had been converted into a park in 2010. And so they did a lot of the shooting and building of sets there. One of the only things they didn't do there in Berlin was the Friedrichstrasse station, which is where they have the like checkpoint line that he cuts in line at. They weren't able to shoot that at like the actual station because it looked too modern. They found like another one nearby that worked better, sort of thing. But then to get all the wall sequences, so like the kind of border with the wall building and all that was all in Wrocław, I think is how you pronounce it, Poland. It's so Kaminsky and other people talked about like this was like on the border, so it used to be a part of Germany, so it had like very German architecture, but then also like in Berlin everything's kind of been rebuilt, and so you don't really have anything that looks like early 60s Berlin anymore, whereas they found in this town in Poland there were still some a good bit of streets that had very like 60s Berlin feel to them, even like bombed out street kind of stuff going on. And so yeah, they built a wall. I think Spielberg said a good like 300 yards of wall there along one of those streets. They even had like advisors of people that were there when it went up and were there when it was up, that kind of like advised them on what to do for that, what it was like. So yeah, I mean, they really went for it for the wall.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have this weird life thing that I do. Is I like to see pieces of the Berlin Wall. They're like in museums and
Yeah.
presidential libraries and stuff, like all over the place now. Like they're just all over the place.
Huh. Okay.
And they're usually set up somewhere where you can like touch them and like get real close to them and stuff. They're not like I've never been to a piece that's like a walled off wall. Like it's always something you can like interact
Yeah.
with. And I don't know why. The first one I ever saw was at the George Bush Presidential Library in College Station, Texas.
Okay.
And it just like really struck me. I mean, because that's like the wall.
Yeah.
It's like a huge deal.
It
Right?
is.
Like it's a huge thing, and like it's a hugely symbolic, but like actual literal thing too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always neat to see. I've seen a half dozen pieces of it standing up in various museums and stuff now, and
I'm gonna have
I
to
don't
keep
know.
an eye out for that now.
it's a thrill. I'm trying to put the whole wall back together in my mind.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. So one day
You got to
see
experience all the pieces that are still in existence. It is cool though. Like, there's not very many like important pieces of history like that you can just go up and touch.
Yeah,
there's
right?
something very
Yeah.
like tactile about that I'm sure is
Yeah.
interesting.
I've never asked. I want to. One of these days, I'm going to ask one of the museum curators at one of these museums where I see this thing. I'm like, why can you always touch this?
Yeah.
Like I can't touch anything else.
I guess
here.
you can't
But,
mess
like,
it up. It's a
I can
cement wall.
always touch the concrete wall.
Yeah.
You know. Oh.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, they did so. You know, I guess that's where Stockhausen comes in. They did a really good job with that. The only other location that I really like noted was the Glenorchy Bridge, which is they even have now a sign up that says Bridge of Spies, kind of commemorating this moment. But yeah, they were there for like 6 nights. So this bridge is like, it connects Berlin to Potsdam. It's like the east-west connection. And so that's why it was so important. And it was closed all during this time. It was closed to civilian traffic. And it wasn't open up again for traffic until after reunification. So yeah, what you see in the movie, it was just like that that whole time. Just, I guess I'm assuming they had, you know, the towers with people with rifles up in them just constantly. And
yeah, like the DMZ in Korea.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just wild to me to think about a city. You know, I was born after this all, you know, kind of was resolved. And so it's just, you know, I guess Korea just feels so distant, and
Yeah.
I don't really think about like that in Korea much, but so it's just wild to me to think about here's this
An actual
city
thing.
that's like split in half. It's literally like, I mean, you can have aunts and uncles on the other side. It's just mind blowing to think about that was going on. Yeah, I mean, and then you have like, they talked about one day they're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the wall coming down, and the next day they're shooting Tom Hanks on that bridge. So, I mean, yeah, just...
Yeah, wow.
I mean, they had high emotions on set.
Yeah, I'm sure.
With all that going on, too. I mean, freezing cold.
Yeah.
And then the other cool thing about the bridge was Spielberg and I guess some others probably Tom Hanks, I'm sure, and other people got invited to meet the German Chancellor Merkel, who was, I had to look it up. I don't really know a lot about German politics, but basically the Chancellor of Germany is like the president. And so,
it's kind of,
I mean, not exactly, but
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, it's...
Yeah, she's like the administrative leader. I think
Right.
it's kind of more like the prime minister in
Right.
in England.
Right.
Yeah.
So they got to meet her, and then she actually came out to the bridge to the set one day, and you know,
Neat.
shaking hands and stuff. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I'll go meet Tom Hanks. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I became chancellor in the first place, just in case this happened.
But yeah. As far as the way the movie looks, I think it looks really good. I think Kaminsky did a good job. We've talked a little bit about that, but I guess like the most like I guess interesting thing that's like a strong choice is to kind of split with a fade to black, fade back in the middle of the film from like a colorful, vibrant New York to like the blue gray, the classic Kaminsky blue gray, cold haziness of Berlin.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot about this every time I watch it, like how much I like the look of the film, or not. I don't know. Spielberg kind of goes through I mean, he's in the middle of it, right? He's in the middle of it with this movie.
Yeah.
But he likes a lot of blue and gray. There's a lot of blue and gray in a lot of these movies, and if he's not blue and gray, he's deeply saturated colors.
Sure.
And there's kind of nothing like in the '90s. The movies felt a little bit more real, and he's like moved far from real. I feel like in all of these movies in the 2000s,
it's almost like going back to the '80s, the way his movies felt in the '80s. This very like hazy fantasy feel. Very hazy fantasy, even when the story is very realistic.
And I don't know. Like there's part of me that would like him to work with someone other than Jonas Kominsky.
Yeah.
Because they start to feel a little samey. And it's one reason I love. I think it works really well in Lincoln. Because everything's muddy and smoky.
Yeah.
And that just kind of works a little. It like makes more sense. But that's why West Side Story. I love watching West Side Story so much because West Side Story feels different.
Right.
It looks kind of different. It's much sharper, less magic haze everywhere, and I don't know. I like that a lot. Fabelmans too. Fabelmans is not magic, not magic glowy lights in the same way. Super realistic, and I'm optimistic that maybe Spielberg and Jonas have moved out of there.
Yeah.
Have moved out of there this era. I don't know. I love the movie and I understand why they did what they did, but I'm a little bit like, okay, fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's the way I feel about it. So, I've been watching these like, so the last one I've kind of like watched and covered. I haven't done Lincoln yet. But you just spoke to that. But War Horse it has that feel of like the Color Purple Empire of the Sun, where it's like, it's almost like there's this like fantasy haze of like, this is a story, but it's also like a fable. And to be honest, like I didn't feel that as much in this, coming off of like some movies where that's definitely there. And in this one, it feels.
If you just did War Horse, like you would definitely. This would definitely feel much more grounded.
This feels like toned down from that. So it could just be because I've been watching all these Spielberg movies that, to me, this was kind of like more of a breath of fresh air. But I could see if you just like jump into this, once you get to Berlin, it's there. I guess to be fair, it sort of makes sense to have like haziness in Berlin in the winter.
Sure. But I mean, everyone smokes like chimneys in the United States too. So like I can understand why that kind of stuff would be there. But did you hear the thing about the way they did that? Speaking of cold, the breath.
Yeah.
Did you see this? This is so cool.
Yeah. It was in one particular scene.
One particular scene in the offices there. Yeah, in East Germany, and the way he came up to do that, because they would lose the breath when they turned the lights on because it would dry the air out. Yeah. And so instead what he did is he turned the lights back off, put people in black masks so you couldn't see their face, and had them say the lines, and then they digitally put that breath onto the actors.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. But a way to get that haze, that real haze back in there, even though you're drying everything out with your Hollywood lights.
Yeah. I think he shared that in that DGA thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
with Scorsese.
Yeah.
I had
so smart.
I had forgot to note it down, but yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it is very cool.
And it reminds me that, like, that Kaminsky hazy light thing has become such a Spielberg, like, cliche almost. But there are almost always there are diegetic reasons for it in the films. So it's not just like a lazy cheat. Like, there's reasons for what they do, and they taking them in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it does feel a bit rote at some point in here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like it's at its height on the bridge, probably.
Yeah.
The haziness and the blues with the, filming at twilight, you get that deep blue sky and the reflection on the water, and they loved that stuff. And so they're probably at their most like Spielberg Kaminsky collab with the bridge stuff for sure. But
what I really think about this movie when I watch it is I feel like this is a black and white movie shot in color. Is kind of how it feels to me.
I can see that, yeah.
And it kind of follows a lot of those kind of classic ways of lighting things and staging things and framing things and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you get to the stuff in Germany, I mean, it's so blue and gray. It might as well be black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even the American stuff feels like it feels like a black and white movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about with the structure of the movie, which is, I put it in our like editing and post-production stuff, even though like really the way Spielberg and Michael Kahn work, the post-production is kind of happening during the production. It's kind of how they make their movies so quickly because they're doing less like they know what takes they need to do before they like strike a set because they're editing as they go. So there's not they don't have to go back and do a whole lot of reshooting because they're kind of getting what they need as they go. But one of the things that came out of that was the original opening was going to be the Donovan scene that we get as his introduction.
Yeah.
But then
that's not my guy.
Yeah.
Not my guy.
Exactly. Yeah. That whole scene with like the traffic accident, which is great.
Yeah. But calling him my guy.
Yeah. So that was what they had planned. But then they shot the whole like Abel sequence with the him painting, going out to paint with getting the nickel and the whole like chase scene, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah.
The spy scene, the one spy scene.
It is the one spy scene.
Yeah.
It reminded me of funnily enough, it reminded me of the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, sort of. Just like in the subway, people chasing each other and getting lost in crowds, and it just reminded me of that. I watched that movie not terribly long ago for a draft of I think it was like we did a hostages draft.
Oh yeah.
So I had watched.
Oh, what a great movie! The movie's perfect.
Yeah. So it reminded me of that. Not exactly a spy movie, but hostage movies in a similar vein, I guess. And so I thought that was so good. It was like a little like silent movie opening. Yeah. Not really anything being said, just like communicating everything with, the camera work, the editing, the glances. It was very, very good.
Yeah, it's really fun. It really puts you in the moment.
Yeah.
Like in the time frame moment, and in the let you know what kind of movie it's going to be too.
Yeah.
And it shows that he's really a spy.
Yep.
It's important to you to know that he's really a spy.
He really is.
That's important.
I love the little nickel.
I know.
Yeah.
That's like the kind of thing I would have read about when I was a kid, reading about like true spycraft stuff or whatever. And would have been like, man, I want a little nickel like that.
Yeah.
That I could just like open up and take stuff out of.
Yeah. Well, they like handmade all of the spycraft stuff, and
oh, how cool!
They kind of talked about how like all the spycraft stuff in James Bond was
Mm-hmm.
based off of like real stuff like this that they really had in in the 50s and and early 60s for stuff like this. Yeah. But yeah, the really like, I guess like shooting that sequence, Spielberg kind of like had the wise idea of like, no, I think this is our opening. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, very smart. Scorsese in that interview, like he went on and on about loving this opening and like the visual brilliance. And, he was really like, it was really some like, you're my buddy and I'm going to like kind of lift you up above the rest kind of talk. But it was all true. He was talking about like some directors will get a script like this, and get great dialogue actors like Tom Hanks. And they'll say, okay, my movie is a dialogue movie because it's so well written. It's so well acted. That's what my movie is the dialogue. But it takes people like Spielberg to have that. Yes. But like, that's not the whole movie. So you start off with this visual sequence where there's nothing being said, but you're communicating everything you need to communicate visually. Yeah. Even just that also, opening image. Yeah. The Norman Rockwell reference.
Oh, I know. Yeah. The mirrors. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, Spielberg loves Rockwell.
Yeah. He's a collector, I think.
Yeah, he is. There's a good book where Lucas and Spielberg both write about the importance of Rockwell in their own work, and like talk about the different like paintings that they own and why, and like how it's just like influenced them and stuff. It's a cool book about them and Rockwell. But I was gonna say the other thing about that opening sequence, one reason I enjoy it, because it is a very talky movie,
right?
And if you start the movie with that "Not My Guy" scene, what you're telling the audience is this is a movie where you're going to enjoy watching people talk to each other,
right?
An
Aaron Sorkin movie.
Key into that, but that's really not how the movie works. I mean, there's great dialogue scenes, and it's fun to watch them negotiate. But most of the movie the story is told through the edits.
Yep.
And that's what becomes like more fun to watch. The more times I've watched the movie, the more what I really enjoy is how one scene will set something up, and then the next scene will answer that thing that's set up in the previous scene. It's like question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, but the question that is asked in one scene is not answered in that scene.
Right.
And it like is constantly like shifting your focus back on what what is at stake morally or civically. I would say civically. What's at stake civically in each scene. So like in the courtroom, you get like all rise, and then you don't actually see then you cut to the classroom and the kids rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. And so like it takes like here we're having this very important court case, but what's at stake here is the soul of the nation. It's like what we're teaching kids in school. Like that's what this is really. It's a civics lesson.
Yeah.
But it's like the best kind of civics lesson. This is what we're fighting for, is the future of this country. And so it does that throughout the entire movie. And by starting the movie with a scene that is mostly silent, that is edited together, like you train the audience, you're going to be watching edits. That's what this film is, not just conversations. Yeah. And I think it's why the movie is one that I can keep coming back to and watching and enjoying again and again and again. Is because it's that kind of movie. Like it's a movie. It's not something I could read and get just as much out of, or watch a black box theater production of and get just as much out of. It's a movie,
right?
The thing that only a movie can do,
right? Exactly.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think so. One of the things I've kind of like learned, I think especially in this Spielberg series, and it's something that I maybe very well could have learned in the Wes or Nolan series if I would have done them like later on in this endeavor. But just like being so far into this with two full directors and then one, director that feels like could be two more full directors so far.
Yeah.
Is that I think the Spielberg Michael Kahn collaboration is probably the more important than the John Williams collab, the Kaminsky collaboration. That Spielberg Michael Kahn collaboration is the most important collab of his whole career.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's just I've learned so much more about editing and the importance of the edit going through this series. And not to say, I mean, it's there in Wes Anderson and Christopher Nolan, absolutely, like obviously. But I guess just like for me in this series and seeing Spielberg and Michael Kahn talk about, you know, the way they edit and their choices, I've just learned a lot about like the importance of that. And you know, I've heard people say like the story is in the edit. That's where the story is told. And this has been this series, I think in particular, has just been like a great lesson in that, I guess, a great course in how the story is told through the edit. And yeah, this movie is like, you know, you mentioned the cut to the classroom, but I mean, even just like
it's all throughout the movie.
Even just the negotiations don't end in resolve.
Right.
You cut out of those scenes. There's no decisions made. There's no.
Yep. That's right.
There's not even like really like. There's nothing sure at all.
Right.
And
because it's not resolved till they show up at the bridge.
Until it happens.
Right. Yeah, until it happens,
Yeah.
and it can't be.
Right.
All it is he gets the question asked in the scene. He takes that question to the next conversation, and the next, and the next, and the next.
He tells the CIA
Hopefully.
that he asked the question.
That's
and they
right.
say, "Did you get an answer?" And he says, "No."
Yeah, we'll get our answer when we all show up at the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's not just like a trick to keep you like on edge. That's just how it happened.
It's the way it is. Yeah, just what it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a trick to keep you like on edge. Like there's definitely like intention there, but it's also like, it just is how it happened. And
just how it worked.
so it's like the perfect movie for that.
Yeah.
Perfect story.
Yeah. Yeah. Go Michael Kahn. More love for Michael Kahn.
Yeah.
He's editors
phenomenal.
they don't get enough attention, especially with these great. I mean, you think about like Scorsese and Thelma Shoemaker, Sally Menke and Quentin Tarantino, the first part of Tarantino's career. Like how important those collaborations are. Just different movies, different careers without those collaborations.
Yeah. I've become a huge advocate for editors. Shouting out editors.
Yeah.
In this podcast. I guess like wrapping up that sort of stuff. I kept hearing when I was like listening to other people talk, like reviews of the time, talk about how like the trailers like really did this movie wrong. They made it seem like it was going to be like a more intense spy thriller, and it's just not that. That sort of movie. But yeah, also this is really like the last proper DreamWorks movie, which doesn't get talked about a lot because really at this point, DreamWorks was being restructured. I mean, you have like DreamWorks Animation has branched off, and they're kind of their own thing now. And at this point, DreamWorks is really just kind of like a face. Like you still get the DreamWorks intros and stuff after this, but they're not really DreamWorks. They're really financed by the Indian company Reliance and distributed by Disney's Touchstone. And then you just have the DreamWorks intros and stuff on there because people recognize it. And so really this is like, I'm pretty sure this is like the last like proper DreamWorks movie. Spielberg stuff after this is Amblin. It just goes back to being Amblin really. So kind of just interesting, I guess like, I mean, DreamWorks was kind of like a failed project, that, you know, people don't really know that because you still see DreamWorks and you think like, oh, DreamWorks is still successful, but really like just the animation is, and everything else kind of unfortunately failed with it. But yeah. But this is the last one. Released October 2015, almost 3 years to the day after Lincoln. Pulled in $165 million dollar, I guess, worldwide box office on a $40 million budget. Not bad.
Hey, that'll do.
Yeah. It opened number 3 at 15 millions. Number 1 was, of course, Goosebumps that weekend.
October release, right? Yeah.
Jack Black.
Kind of a halfway scary movie you can take your kids to with Jack Black in it. That's going to win.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Jack Black. Jack Black is, man, he's sticking around. He is not.
Oh, Jack Black's the best.
He's not going away anytime soon. That's fine with me.
No way. No. Jack Black is my dream casting for the eventual Adam McKay movie about Donald Trump.
Ooh, okay.
I want Jack Black to play Donald Trump. That'd be great.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be all over that.
That does feel like an inevitable movie.
It does. Yeah.
For better or worse.
Jack Black needs to EGOT. That's the other thing. Jack Black needs to EGOT.
He does.
He does. So
what does he have?
He needs an Oscar. He has a Grammy. For his work with Tenacious D.
Tenacious D, yeah.
He has, I think he has an Emmy. He has a daytime Emmy.
That makes sense.
For I think voice work on something.
Does he have a Tony?
Yet have it. I don't think he has a Tony or an Oscar yet. But come on, y'all. I mean, he should have won an Oscar for the Princess Peach song in the Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, he should have.
Come on, that was right there.
Yeah,
one day.
I agree with that. That was the best part of the whole movie.
By far.
Yeah, it did well critically. It did well commercially. For just Spies. I guess critically is kind of mixed. At the time, I think it's become a little bit more like people have come around on it a little bit over time.
It's a weird movie. It's two movies.
Nobody really talks about it.
It's two movies just cut right in half.
It is, yeah.
You know, it's a strange movie. It's two movies. And that's weird for anybody. You're never gonna have that get like cheered the same way a more conventional film would be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, in my research, I really just didn't see a whole lot of like what people were saying about it at the time. It seems like people were like, yeah, it was a pretty good Spielberg movie. And that was kind of it. I mean, yeah,
we take him for granted.
Yeah, we really do. It did get the Oscar nominations. It got, 6, with sound mixing, production design, music, screenplay, and it got a Best Picture nomination. And that was the 5 nominations. It did win for Best Supporting Actor for Mark Rylance. So
well deserved.
Yeah. I didn't remember this, but it makes sense thinking back. But apparently, like for a long time, he was like the front runner. But then by the time the Oscars rolled around, everyone was like, "Oh, this is a shoe-in for Stallone in Creed." And so so when Rylance won, it almost felt like an upset. Even though like
funny.
For forever he was like,
it's great.
Yeah. So you know, I guess in true like. It seems, I guess Stallone kind of got rockied in a way.
Yeah.
You know?
Good.
So.
I love Rocky.
I do too.
I think the worst part of Creed is everything with Stallone. So
That's honestly fair. The best parts of Creed are not Stallone. The best parts of Creed are the parts that you can tell Coogler like was really loving, like infusing his culture into the Rocky universe. Those are the best parts of Creed.
Yeah. Everything else is just like Rocky Balboa as like a heavy bag on the back of another great movie. No, anyway, go Mark Rylance. You deserve it.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
It's a quintessential supporting actor. like role as well.
It really is.
It's like exactly what you want a supporting actor nomination and role to be.
Yeah,
So.
to like have a lot of gravity to it, to enhance like the performance of the lead actor, and like, I mean, they really are enhancing each other, with their interactions. Yeah, for sure.
Hi. Quick reminder that you, yes, you, can be a huge help to the production of this show. If you visit establishingshotpod.com/donate, you'll find out how to join the Establishing Shot family through some giving tiers starting as low as $5 a month. You heard that right, only $5 a month. And not only will you be helping me keep the show going, but you'll also get some perks yourself, like early and ad-free episodes, bonus episodes, access to a Discord server where we can chat it up about the show and movies in general, and more. Might even let you choose a movie for me to review for the show. Check out that link in the show notes to learn more. Back to the show.
All right. I think this is the time where you tell me your theory. Your theory of why Spielberg made this movie.
Why this film? Okay, so here's the wonderful thing. We are living in a we are living in an AF world is what we're living in. Okay?
Yeah.
It's an after Fableman's world.
Okay, yes.
It's the world we live in.
That's true.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it is wonderful to live in an after Fableman's Spielberg world.
It is.
I think. As a film nerd,
it's a lens.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
It's a great time. And I'm so glad that movie is as good as it is and is all the things that it is, because otherwise it would be a sad world to be in a after Fableman's world. But it's a good world. I do you have this? Like, I cannot watch a Spielberg movie now without thinking about that movie and like how it connects to some aspect of whatever I'm watching.
You can't. You can't not now.
Yeah. And my favorite part of that, of the Fablemans probably, is the film he makes for his senior ditch day at the beach. What the effect that film has on the bully. And the way he shows him as like a golden child, and how it like a golden boy or something like that, he says, and how it makes him angry and it makes him feel sad, and it like convicts him basically. He's convicted that he is not that thing. And by Spielberg showing that boy what he should be, what he has the ability to be, if he would only live up to it, it like convicts him that he's not that thing. And for me, that is like, oh, that is exactly what Spielberg does in these conscience movies, these civics movies, conscience movies. He wants to show, because I think Spielberg, being a Jewish American, like, he feels like an outsider, looking at this country of wasps, who are in charge of everything. These golden boys, like that bully, or whatever, or like Donovan, like this is a wasp family, at the middle of this thing, he's holding him up and saying, this is who you should be. This, to make this movie, this is my theory. Making this movie is an opportunity to do that. It's to make his senior ditch day movie all over again. And to show someone, but who actually was a kind of a paragon of civic duty and responsibility, the kind of people we actually should aspire to be. I think that's what this is. I think that's what, for the most part, all his conscience movies are just making that senior ditch day movie all over again.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I don't like preachy movies. And it's part of growing up in Christian subculture and being exposed to too many preachy things, and being old enough and wise enough and mature enough and learned enough now to know that is not effective.
Right.
That all you're really doing is preaching to the choir, and they're not even really listening. That it doesn't do any good. And so I tend to be very allergic to preachy movies, but I like Spielberg's preachy movies for the most part. And I, like, for a long time, like, couldn't figure out why that was. I can watch a movie like this and see very clearly that it is preaching to me, and trying to get me to be a certain way. And but what I figured out, thanks to the Fablemans, and rewatching Lincoln a ton of times because I love Lincoln, and watching this movie a lot of times too, is like, oh, that's why this works. This works because it works when Spielberg does it. One, because he's Spielberg and he could tell me a story about a gum wrapper blowing down the street and it'd probably be great. But it works because there is an aspect to it where it's not simply like, it's not saying this is who you are. Yay, you.
Yeah.
It's saying this is who you should be. There's like an inherent criticism kind of built in that says you're not this.
Yeah.
And I think like the fact that he made this movie and Lincoln in the Post during the era of American like politics and said those years in there where the things that like separate us and divide us and the rancor, political rancor and just all that kind of stuff is like so high pitched, It's like, this is Spielberg's way. Spielberg who loves Norman Rockwell. Spielberg who liked to drench everything in light. Spielberg who has been accused of being overly sentimental. Like all this. This is his way of criticizing American society. Criticizing his audience and saying like, be better than you are.
Yeah.
And like, and the story's told in a way that like he challenges you to like throughout to like, will you judge this man or not? How will you do that? Can you be like Donovan and continue to, I wouldn't go as far to say love him, but to like respect him enough to give him the fullness of the law and the way that it should be practiced on his side, Do you love your country enough? Do you love America enough to like make America be the thing it says it wants to be?
Yeah.
It's like that James Baldwin quote about like James Baldwin says something like, I'm still waiting for America to be the thing it says it is. And I believe it can be that, and I think Spielberg believes it can be that, and says like, okay, now be this, do this, stop being the thing you are, be this thing. And so that's my theory. That's why I think Spielberg reads this script and is like, hey, I could do the U2 thing. That's fun. I remember that from my childhood. I can recreate this part of my life. And also, and he was born in New Jersey, by the way. So he's like from New York as a kid, basically. Nobody in Jersey would say they're from New York and vice versa, but still, for people who aren't from there, it's all the same. And so he gets to recreate his childhood, but when it comes right down to it, it's also a way to like do Senior Ditch Day all over again. So that's my theory.
No, I love that.
On the movie.
And the Fablemans has kind of become a like lens through which to watch all Spielberg movies, and like answers a lot of questions that you might have about why he made certain movies the way he did. For sure. I mean, it's all there in the Fablemans. But yeah, I think it's a great theory. I think one of the things that I think this movie, certain parts of War Horse for sure, and then like again, like I will be revisiting Lincoln soon, and I'm sure it's there in Lincoln. It was definitely there in Munich for me. Munich was like a surprising, like absolutely went for it. Totally,
Munich's amazing.
Movie for me.
Munich's incredible.
Like it might be like my favorite surprise of the series so far because it was a blind spot. And one of the things that I've found is all those movies. War Horse is a little bit more like hit and miss, but it has some moments like that are. It's like Spielberg finds this like line to ride where he makes these either entire films or at least moments in films that are genuinely inspirational. They don't feel forced somehow, even though like this definitely there in the writing and the acting and the camera work, and like, I mean, it is forced, but it doesn't feel forced somehow. It's like this magic, like genuine inspiration. And I think it just comes from like, there's a sense in which like the mature Spielberg, isn't like fully devoid of like his childlikeness. And there's we both have young children, and there's a sense in which sometimes like the simpleness of the way like a child can see things, can like that simplicity is maybe sometimes even more like inspiring or convicting than like something deeply philosophical or like, like overly preachy or theological or whatever you want to say. And I think that's there in Spielberg still. And maybe that's how he pulls this off, is like, yes, he's the mature Spielberg and he can examine like the problems with the world, and explore those themes. But there's still this like childlike simplicity in the way he sees it. Like, this man just wants to do his job well and like follow the rules and like try to like respect people in a civilized way. And it's like, it's very simple, but like yes, you're adding like Tom Hanks into the mix, which helps a lot. But it's so simple. It should be like maybe in a lot of other directors' hands, like cheesy or like you said, way too preachy. But I think it's that like maturity mixed with the childlike perspective that I think make it just work.
Yeah, there is that. He's having fun making a spy movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there.
Like, that's definitely part of it. He's just having fun making a spy movie too. It just happens to be a spy movie. Has to be this spy movie, but he's making a spy movie.
Yeah.
A real spy movie. Like a spy movie, like a John le Carre kind of spy story, you know? It's just, it's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah. And I mean too, like, you also have, I think the other like Fableman's lens you can look at this through is like the fatherhood and family and manhood lens.
Oh, sure.
It's almost like this movie is like making up for all the other Spielberg dads that have abandoned their family, because this is the one, it's the one Spielberg dad that like really just wants to get back home to his family in his bed.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's notable that it's made after whatever this point is in Spielberg's life, when he finally understood what really happened when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Because for years and years he blamed his dad.
Right.
For the divorce, which is what they said, told the kids at the time. And then later on he learned the truth.
Yeah.
About what really happened. And you can kind of see a change in his filmography, right? Where dads certainly start being, it's sad often that dads are gone. Like I love Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I really love that movie. And I really love it because it's a very sad movie. It's a very sad movie about all this time that they've wasted when he could have been a father. Yeah. And he could have been having a loving relationship with Marion, and he wasted all this time. Right. Because of other stuff. So it's a movie that is like, Spielberg becomes kind of forgiving and graceful towards fathers in the latter part of his career. Yeah. Which is really cool. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Along those lines, I had to write down another quote from Molly Haskell, because I thought this was really good. Just talking about like the ending and how he makes it home, but sometimes like family reunions like they don't quite live up to your expectations. I mean, we get a little bit of that in this film, like, another filmmaker would have ended with him like standing there, and the kids looking back and he's there and he like, gives a little knowing nod and then goes up the stairs. This ends with him just like passed out on the bed, like They look back and he's not
tired.
there. He's like passed out. He's tired.
He's tired.
But also
he's just
like
doing his job, right?
Yeah. But also like
Yeah.
you get a foreshadow of this idea with like the phone call that he makes in the phone booth in Berlin, and he's like asking for the kids, and they're, none of them they all are doing other stuff. They have their own preoccupations.
Yep.
And there's a sense in which they can never understand what he did. And so along those lines, this Haskell quote, she says, quote, "A weary Donovan ascends the steps. Like Jamie in Empire of the Sun or Elliot in E.T., he is alone with a lingering sense of loss. The deeper bond lies elsewhere with an alien and soulmate who has returned to the mothership." End quote. I was like, I was like, man, it's
good.
Those are like the things you like read that are like, this is what film criticism is all about, like finding those connections. And I loved that.
It's funny to think about the shift in perspective here. Like, you go back to another like maybe Spielberg's most personal film, but like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and how that movie, I watch that now, and Spielberg has said he would make it differently if he made it later in his life than he made it then. But what's so great about that is it's a movie that, like, it's almost like the best possible scenario for why your dad left.
Yeah.
And there's like a mystery in that movie. Like, if from the kid's perspective, like later, you're like, where did dad go? Why did dad go? I don't understand any of this. I don't know my dad. I don't understand my dad.
Yeah.
I never did, And so, like, here's this wish fulfillment movie about, well, it was aliens, of course, and now you switch here to the end, not the end of his career, hopefully, but much later in his career, much later in his life, and you have like the movie about the dad and how the kids still don't understand the dad, but it's like from the dad's perspective, right? That, like, it's not that they don't understand their dad; they're just not aware of what's going on.
They're not aware.
The kids live with their own life.
They're not aware, and then like.
And isn't that great, actually, that they don't have to be worried about what's going on?
And like, and there's a sense in which, like, yes, I love the Haskell quote. Like, there's this lingering sense of loss he has, but also, like, he's there. Like, at the end, he's there. Like,
he's
passed out on the bed. He's, he's going to take some NyQuil and get over his sniffles. But he's there at home. And
the kids are ensconced in a freedom and a security that they don't even see or understand, and it's all because of work that of people like him.
And I guess the parallel is it's the same thing for the country, and
exactly. It's that shot on the train of the kids climbing the fence, which is a callback to the people getting shot. They
don't even know,
Yeah, they don't even know, and like the work that he did made it possible for those kids to be climbing a fence, and having fun and playing instead of climbing a fence and getting shot. It's that's what it's for. It's so that they can be unaware of the peace in which they live.
Yeah, for sure. And fun fact about that was actually Hank's idea to have that shot.
Oh, cool.
Because he was asking. This was like one of the last things they shot. Back in New York, and he was asking Spielberg, like, what am I looking at out the window? I guess trying to get some direction, and Spielberg's like, it's freedom, like you're back home, and Hanks just had this idea as they were going, I guess, of like, what if we have like some kids climbing over a fence to kind of like call back to that shot of me seeing, because I'm looking, I guess he was thinking like I was looking out of a train window then.
Motion.
And so
same image.
And Spielberg was like, "Yeah, perfect. We'll do it."
That's cool.
Yeah. So really cool.
It's a good collaborator.
Yeah,
Spielberg. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, I think. I mean, it definitely like reverberates with like contemporary anxieties too, because I mean, at the time there was a lot of Guantanamo Bay questions. And I mean, now we have ICE raids going on. it's
No due process, all that
it's
stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
This is a movie about due process.
it is.
As much as anything else, it's a movie about due process.
about-
and how important that
it's
is.
about-
if you believe it, it's a right that should be afforded to every man, woman, and child
Yeah.
in the world, not only the ones that were born in this country. That's what we used to say that we believe. That some people still say that we believe. And there's a whole bunch of people who don't believe that.
Right.
Who think that the rights that we say are inalienable, are inalienable for all people.
Yeah.
Not just the ones that.
Yeah, and it's I think in that
Americans.
way it's one of Spielberg's most like humanist movies. Just like humans deserve to be treated like humans.
Yeah.
And where you're born or where you're from should be inconsequential to that ethical foundation. And I personally want to ask people like what, like you get more human rights because you were born in a particular place other than over someone. I don't know. That's a whole nother bunny trail we could go down.
Well,
but
I mean, it's what this movie is about.
It is.
Like what this movie is about is like there's a lot of bad things about the kind of triumphant American colonialist thing of the 1950s and 60s, and 70s. There's a lot of bad. There's a lot of bad. But one of the good parts of it, which I think is what Spielberg is getting at here, is that these American values are things that should be shared. The good of them are things that should be shared and should be spread. Like we should believe that the whole world should be this way.
Yeah.
These good things. And when we like build walls, Berlin walls in this case, but when we build walls and say, no, these rights are only people on the inside, not people on the outside. What you've done is you've made America smaller.
Yeah.
You've made the values not more precious. You've made them less precious. You've shrunk us, is what you've done.
Yeah.
And what Spielberg is saying here, that no, anywhere a man like Donovan or a woman like Donovan, if it was a woman, anywhere someone goes who believes in these inalienable rights, anywhere they go, they are America.
Yeah.
And so when he goes into East Germany, America is there because he is there, and the values and the rights and the things that he believes are important are there then and established there. I mean, it's the Christian thing. I mean, if you want to, we can make that leap,
Sure.
and say that, Jesus said, "Where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am too." Because we take this thing that we believe wherever we go. There is no border.
Yeah.
There is no border. There's nowhere to put a wall up. There is no border to what these things are.
Yeah.
Or at least there shouldn't be. Yeah.
And I think it's just, there's no wall you can build up that can stop goodness, with a capital G.
Yeah.
I think that's what this movie is like, really ultimately like trying to get across, in that like trying to give you like an ideal to reflect back to you, like you were saying, the whole like convict you by way of showing you the ideal.
And
was Donovan really like this angel of a guy? Like,
of course not.
Definitely not. I mean, who knows what he was really like other than the people that were around him. But like the point of the movie isn't like to portray this real guy in a real way. It's to portray this, like you said, this ideal, this kind of humanist ideal that we should be trying to live up to. It's what Christians should be doing with Jesus is not using him as like a hammer of sorts, but using him as an image to which like you try to like be like.
Which you talked about last week, or you will talk about soon, but because Spielberg's Jesus movie is Lincoln, so
sure,
you'll get a lot more of the Jesus stuff. It's coming up soon.
Oh man,
and you're watching and discussing.
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure. I guess a few other points to hit on before we wrap up the discussion. Some Spielberg distinctives, we've touched on these kind of all through, but I wanted to mention these. The classical focused storytelling is like all, you get it, spurts of it throughout his career, but it's definitely here. The efficient character building, one thing we haven't talked, we've we've mentioned in passing, like there's some really fun transitions in this movie, really good ones. Though one of the ones that stood out to me is like there's this crossfade where from Abel's face is on one side of the screen to Powers on the other side of the screen, showing
opposition.
Yeah, the two spies
connecting them. Yeah.
But I liked that little crossfade. And then like, the other Spielberg distinctives are going to be like the way the camera work, the low angle close-ups that he loves, and silhouettes, and all that stuff.
But
yeah, the other so a fun fact section, Gary Powers Jr. was in the movie. I forgot to mention that in the cast. So he was like a CIA agent, just kind of like an extra walking along with
that's fun.
So he was in there. He was in the extra features, one of the extra features, a good bit, talking about his dad and stuff. And
that's neat.
Just kind of talking about how, like, kind of what you were mentioning earlier, how his dad was seen as like just like a problem, and really like it wasn't until after his death, when all the classified stuff came out, that showed like he was like held his integrity and didn't give up anything, that he posthumously got like 4 or 5 awards. The other fun fact is that this is also something that Spielberg and Scorsese talk about, is in the background of one of the scenes, there's this Berlin cinema, and it has I'm going to read out the movies that are showing at this Berlin cinema. One is Village of the Damned, a Wolf Rilla movie from 1960, which was a sci-fi movie with strong anti-communist slant. One was Billy Wilder's comedy 1, 2, 3 in 1961, which is set in the German capital. One was a German movie, The Secret of the Black Suitcase by Werner Klingler from 1960, which is a West German thriller. And the last one is Spartacus, the Kubrick movie, which I guess if we're going to keep making the connections, the script of that was Dalton Trumbo, who was blacklisted in the Hollywood communist witch hunt. So some fun stuff going on there in the background.
How fun.
Yeah.
Do you like Spartacus? I don't like Spartacus. You've seen Spartacus?
It's a blind spot. Haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. It's like maybe my least favorite of all Kubrick's films.
I've been slowly filling in my Kubrick blind spots, so I'll get to it eventually. But yeah.
I used to do like one Kubrick a year, and I feel like I needed that much time to recover. Like between them. Yeah. But I've since worked through all of them, so I don't feel that way as much anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spartacus is okay.
Yeah.
It's still Kubrick.
For sure.
I think Spielberg really likes Spartacus.
I can see that.
He has a great affinity for Spartacus. It shows up like a lot of times in a lot of his movies, but it's also a movie about moral conviction. So it kind of makes sense that'd be a good one to call out in a movie like this.
Yeah.
I am Donovan.
No, I'm Donovan. And I guess like so before we wrap up with some final thoughts, were there any like other just like moments or quotes or like things that we haven't touched on that like really stand out to you?
No, I'll just kind of say it again. And it was kind of fun to do a little more research in the movie and find out that this thing that I felt in the movie, where it feels like that wet clay thing that like Spielberg is like, his hands are in it and he's kind of figuring it out as he goes along. And, it's a little bit more alive in a way that none of his movies don't feel unalive, but, some of them feel much more planned out than this one does. And, I think that's fun to watch. And I did hear him, he said in something that like, a lot of days he would show up and be like, I don't know what we're gonna do today exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I know what we're shooting, but I don't know how I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. And he would like figure it out on the day, and he enjoyed doing
Right.
that. After coming from a lot of movies that were much more storyboarded out and planned out. So I just like that. You can just is a thing I enjoy to steal a line from Hamilton is a mind at work.
Yeah.
And I like when you can feel someone working and figuring it
Yeah.
out as they go along. And you can feel that in this movie, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think that's something too. Like as he goes along in his career, you start to see like him more and more like in I'll watch all the special features of all these movies, and more he talks about like, yeah, I didn't really storyboard for this one for as much for this one, and it's like more and more of that, and more of him talking about, yeah, I like to just show up on set and like fill out the space. And see like what the space feels like, and then we kind of like go from there on like they have a general like, okay, we're shooting these scenes today, but like the details of like where exactly you're putting the camera and the actors and like the composition of the shots, like he's kind of like feeling out on the day on the set. So yeah, you can definitely feel some of that in this movie.
I think it contributes to what some people might call there's like a less urgency in his film, in this kind of later films of his career. It's kind of a more of a slackness to some of them. And I'm okay with it because I don't need every movie to feel like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Jurassic Park. I like that he gets to do this. He's Spielberg, go for it.
Absolutely.
And then he can come along and he can put something out like West Side Story that is every bit as crisp and sharp and urgent as anything he's ever done. And so he still got it if he wants to. He just doesn't have to.
Right. Yeah. And I think one of the ways it plays out in this one is just like that Donovan-Abel relationship. Because I know at one point he had talked about, wanting to have way more scenes of them together. But realizing at some point in the movie, as they were like approaching the bridge scene, realizing like, oh, this absence is actually going to make this scene more powerful. And so like ended up not adding in any more extra scenes with them together in between. And so like, and you really feel that too, like the character, Abel is able in that scene. But you can see he's really like assessing where Donovan has come at that point from their standing man conversation, and like assessing, he has, it's one of those pregnant pause moments where he looks at him before he says, I can wait. That's really powerful and kind of comes out of that like absence that you've been missing from them two together up to that point. That was one of my favorite moments, was that just that simple, like, I can wait. Like recognizing the integrity and the hard work, and he's kind of just taking all of that in that moment, putting together like he's a smart dude, like because he's a spy. And he's just putting together all the pieces of like realizing what this guy has been up to and saying like, okay, I can wait, love that moment. I had this like final thought that I wanted to like throw out there, and then you can tell me like what you think about this.
Okay.
So I think there's this progression, because we've been talking about Donovan a lot and his moral, his moral stances. And I think those are there through the movie, but I think there's this like progression. So I think he starts off, his leading virtue, the way you're introduced to him is he's a guy that does his job well by the books. And that's what his virtue is. His virtue is this like, it's kind of this ethic of like following the rules and doing that and following the rules well, that it seems like he kind of goes by. And I think over the course of the movie and his interactions with Abel, and just there's this like natural ambition that he has that like drives him into that ethic, and I think it morphs into a greater ethic over the movie, or maybe a better way to put it is a deeper ethic. Even I don't think it's explicitly like named, obviously, but I think he starts off, basically my take is this: he starts off with this lesser value of like, I'm going to do with integrity my job well, and following his ambition into that ethic leads him to a deeper ethic of compassion, really. I don't think he starts off the movie like feeling great compassion for Abel. I think he's just like, this is my job, I'm going to do it well. But I think by like leaning into that lesser, in a way, not lesser in the sense that like it's not important, but just like at a more shallow level ethic of doing your job well, it leads him into a deeper ethic of compassion. And I don't know, I think there's this like, one of the things I was thinking about was just how impatient we've become with those lesser virtues. And it just feels like people are less and less, or I guess I should say more and more like giving up on those lesser virtues before it leads them into deeper virtues, like compassion. And I don't know, that's just something that I saw in the movie, this progression of Donovan, that I think is just another way that he can be like held up as this ideal of like, this is what can happen if we really like lean into it's almost like an easier ethic, to follow of like, okay, I'm going to have integrity in my profession and do this well. If you can lean into that, then eventually, like if you push into it far enough, you're going to get to some deeper ethic underneath that, which I think in this case is compassion. I think he really does grow a great compassion for Abel, is the main one. But even like he has the interaction with Powers on the plane where he like throws that bit of wisdom at him. I think he has great compassion for him in that moment. And I don't know, that's just another thing I saw that I thought would be a fun final thought. Not fun, but like a good takeaway final thought. I don't know, do you think that's there?
Yeah, I do. I think that I like that framing of it. I feel like his like first commitment is to the law.
Yeah.
Right? And this is what the law says to do, this is what we should do. And it's like he's very matter of fact about it. And it's interesting because I mean we can think of the law as, like Paul says, like being something that points out our sinfulness to us, like we can't live up to it or whatever. But we could also think about the law as in like, well, this is what it was meant for. It was meant for, why don't you practice these easy things, and they can lead you to the greater things. Practice the easy thing of not eating that kind of meat. That's not in the grand scheme that hard of a thing to do, whatever. But it can lead you to a respect for your body, for other people's bodies, for health, for the environment, for all these things. Like, so it leads you, like you're saying, from like a lesser virtue to a greater one, to a deeper one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what God intended for the law to do for us.
Yeah, and I think that's why Jesus is so angry with the religious leaders, because he's saying, no, you've taken these in the way we're talking about it, the language we're talking about it. You've taken this lesser virtue and you've just added a bunch more, maybe even shallower than that, virtues around it. No, you're supposed to go deeper with it. You've heard it said, and I say, like the whole Sermon on the Mount stuff is like him showing like No. You've gotten it all wrong. These lesser things were supposed to lead you to these deeper things.
Right.
These like negative instructions were supposed to lead you toward the positive actions. And I think that is subtly there in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it. I mean, I think we covered everything. There's nothing else to talk about with this movie ever
That's right.
again.
Bridge of Spies. I'll never have to watch it again. Never think about it ever again. We're done.
Yeah. So you
right.
mentioned a little bit. Where do you think this falls for you with like Spielberg in your arbitrary ranking?
Very arbitrary ranking. I mean, Spielberg's one of those filmmakers where like
there's like a whole tier.
The distance between the top and the bottom is not a very large distance. You know, because even a movie like Always is interesting, and even a movie like Hook has a lot of amazing things in it. So I don't know though. If I'm going to use the tiers, it's mid-tier Spielberg.
I think that's fair.
But it's like high mid-tier. It's high mid-tier Spielberg. Really good mid-tier Spielberg.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I was looking and I was like, oh man, I can put this like. After I finished it, I was like, this is so good. I could put this up toward the top. But then I was like looking at the movies, I was like, I can't put it above so many of these, and but it feels like
it.
At, a lot of other directors, it would be at the top.
It'd be their best movie, right? Yeah, I know. It's I mean, when you're Spielberg and you've made movies that change the world, I mean, when you've made Jaws, Close Encounters, and Raiders, and E.T., and Jurassic Park, and Schindler's List, and
it just goes on and on.
Private Ryan, yeah.
Oh man.
And Lincoln.
I'm excited after this conversation. I'm excited to get to Lincoln. So, yeah.
I'll give you a little. You'll have a great conversation about Lincoln. You'll get into it, but I did a thing with Lincoln for a New Testament class.
Okay.
I was doing an independent study with a professor at Fuller, and he was teaching an intro to New Testament class, and he wanted me to do a thing to help the students in the class like treat the Gospels as stories and not just as like, a textbook. And so I was like, okay, let's use Lincoln. And I had the class watch Lincoln, and we talked about how Lincoln is structured and how Lincoln is structured like a gospel, like the Gospel of Mark or something. And we like paralleled the two, and that was lots of fun, and it works really well.
That's cool.
Because it's a story about a savior who just like walks around telling stories all the time about stuff, and is trying to accomplish something. So everything is communicated via story.
Group around him.
Ragtag group of disciples around him are out there, causing a ruckus. And he's crucified and maybe resurrected in the end. It's a very Jesus-y movie. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely like keep that in the back of my mind. Watching it. But that was last week actually, Lincoln,
right.
Or a couple weeks ago, I guess. And next week we're gonna do a movie draft to go along with this. We're gonna do a Cold War movie draft. Pretty exciting to dig into some of these. That'll be next week. Then we'll be getting into the BFG, so that'll be fun too. But yeah, that's really all we have this week. Just a reminder, if you want to find out more about Elijah's work and where to follow him and sign up for his newsletter and see all of his books and like come and see and stuff, you can go to ElijahDavidson.com. Real easy.
Yep.
And I'll link that in the episode description too, so that'll be easy to click on. But yeah.
Can I just say it real quick? This is a goofy thing. You can cut this out if you don't care. But it's it's my own website, like that I run, and it's just fun to have my own website.
Yeah.
That like is on my own server and like has my own setup and all that kind of stuff. Being the age that I am, I've been on the internet since I was in junior high,
Sure, yeah.
like forever.
Mhm.
And I've gone through like so many iterations of like having a blog here or a blog there or whatever. And it's fun to be at a place where I'm like, yep, I just have my own website and it's affordable to
Yeah.
run and I can do whatever I want to with it. And I can like have a sign up thing for come and see,
Yeah.
and I can like do a book or I can,
All of your stuff
just whatever.
centralized.
I can just
Yeah.
do that. It's fun. And I don't have to worry about like anybody coming along and adding ads to it or screwing it up.
Mhm.
It's just like my own website to run. All right, it's fun. Neat.
Yeah.
It's goofy. There's little, I'm saying this part because there are little tucked away corners of that website that that a visitor might not find unless they click around just
Yeah.
right. And I think that's kind of fun too. It's like a DVD menu with like Easter eggs,
Yeah.
That's kind of my thought process of running the
Yeah.
website.
So that's what you should do. When you finish listening to this episode, click the link in the episode description, and then just start clicking stuff online.
Clicking around, see what you find.
You
There's
might
lots
find
of
stuff
weird
that he didn't
hidden
even
in
know
there.
was there.
Oh no, I know it's all there. But you may find stuff you wish you hadn't found. That could happen
That
too.
could happen.
So
Who knows? But yeah, that's again, ElijahDavidson.com. There's all kinds of
There you
fun
go.
stuff on there.
the DVD menu circa 2005.
I love it. But yeah, that's all we have for this week. Next week is our Cold War movie draft. But yeah, we are done. I have been Eli Price for Elijah Davidson. You've been listening to The Establishing Shot. We will see you next time.
We were happy here. For a little while.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.